The Suliban were known throughout the galaxy as the weakest spacefaring species, their translucent skin and fragile bones making them vulnerable to even minor impacts. No one suspected they harbored evolutionary energy powers that would reshape galactic dynamics until now. Harry Perry's medical scanner whirs in the dim light of Storage Bay 7 on Kepler 186f, its readings defying everything he knows about Suliban physiology. The female alien before him lies crumpled against a stack of mining crates, her translucent skin revealing the network of fractures spreading through her delicate skeletal structure. The scanner's display shows impossible energy signatures pulsing within her cellular matrix. "Please," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the humming of the mining outpost's environmental systems. "I am Lita, the Drachnids. They took my research team. I escaped when their systems failed." Harry's mind races. As the outpost's xenobiologist, he knows helping her violates Commander Wilson's strict non-interference protocols. The commander's hatred of alien involvement in human operations is legendary among the crew of 43. Yet the broken being before him needs immediate medical attention. The outpost's corridors remain empty as Harry guides Lita to his private quarters, supporting her negligible weight. The year is 2157, and humanity's expansion into space has taught them caution in alien affairs. At 32, Harry has spent enough time studying extraterrestrial species to know the risks of his actions. His medical equipment fills the small room with soft blue light as he works to stabilize Lita's condition. The unusual energy readings persist, growing stronger with each treatment. According to every database entry on the Suliban, such readings should be impossible. The station's alert system blares to life, Commander Wilson's voice echoing through the metal corridors. "Attention all personnel. A Drachnid vessel approaches, demanding the return of their property. They threaten complete destruction of this facility if their demands aren't met within 24 hours." Harry's hands freeze over his medical controls. The Drachnid's reputation for brutality is well-earned. Their military might respected and feared across known space. Their slave ships are walking nightmares, and their threats are never empty. Through his quarters viewport, the dark bulk of the Drachnid ship becomes visible against the stars, its weapon systems clearly primed. The mining outpost, despite its strategic importance to Earth's resource needs, stands no chance against such firepower. As Lita's vital signs stabilize, the energy readings spike again, stronger than before. Harry studies the patterns, recognition dawning in his eyes. These readings suggest something revolutionary about Suliban biology, something that could transform the galaxy's understanding of this supposedly weak species. Time ticks away as Harry faces an impossible choice. Protect Lita and unlock the secret of her species' hidden powers, or surrender her to save his fellow humans. The next 24 hours will determine not only their fate, but potentially the future of the Suliban race itself. A soft knock at Harry's quarter doors interrupted his analysis of the energy readings. His pulse-quickened discovery now could mean disaster for both him and Lita. The door slid open to reveal Dr. Marcus Gordon, the outpost's chief medical officer, holding a medical supply inventory tablet. "Harry, I need to check your." Marcus stopped mid-sentence, his eyes fixed on Lita's translucent form. The tablet clattered to the floor. "What in the name of—" "Marcus, I can explain," Harry said, moving between his friend and the injured Suliban. Dr. Gordon's initial shock transformed into professional interest as his eyes tracked the medical scanner's display. "These energy signatures. They're unlike anything I've seen before." He stepped closer, medical curiosity overriding his surprise. "The cellular activity is extraordinary." Before Harry could respond, another figure appeared in the doorway, Security Chief Roberts, his weathered face tight with concern. Dr. Gordon isn't the only one who noticed something unusual in this section. He entered, closing the door behind him. The power fluctuations caught my attention. Harry's hand moved toward the emergency alert button, but Roberts raised his palm. At ease, Perry. If I wanted to report this, Commander Wilson would already be here. Roberts approached Lita's bedside, studying her with experienced eyes. I've seen this before during my EDF days. The Drachnids, they're not here for a simple slave retrieval. This is about their weapons program. The security chief's words pulled Harry's attention back to the scanner display. The energy readings pulsed stronger, forming patterns he'd never seen in standard Suliban physiology. Dr. Gordon leaned in, adjusting the scanner's settings. "They're cells," Gordon muttered. "They're not just storing energy, they're converting matter itself. It's some kind of survival mechanism." Lita stirred, her voice weak but clear. "The transformation, it's never been completed. Our bodies usually fail before the conversion process can finish," Roberts finished. "That's what Krivax wants. He's been trying to weaponize this ability." A warning light flashed on Harry's medical console. Lita's energy readings spiked dramatically, causing the nearby lighting to flicker. Gordon quickly adjusted his instruments. "The conversion is accelerating," Gordon said. "At this rate, she could overload the entire section's power grid." Roberts moved to the room's environmental controls. "We might have a solution. The plasma containment systems in the mining bays, they're designed to handle massive energy fluctuations from the atmosphere harvesting operations." Harry's mind raced through the technical specifications. "We'd need to modify the containment fields, create a stable environment for the transformation." The station's intercom system crackled. "Attention all sections," Commander Wilson's voice rang out. "Due to suspicious power readings, a full security sweep of residential quarters will commence in 2 hours." Gordon checked his medical readings again. "The energy conversion is becoming unstable. We need to move her to those containment systems now." "The Drachnid vessel will be in weapons range in 20 hours, Roberts added, checking his tactical display. "If we're going to act, it has to be before either Wilson's security teams or Krivax's ship reaches us." Harry began gathering his portable medical equipment. The scanner's display showed Lita's cellular structure continuing its unprecedented transformation. Each second brought new changes, new possibilities, and new dangers. "We'll need to access the maintenance tunnels," Roberts said, moving to the door. "I can bypass the security sensors, but we'll have to move quickly." As they prepared to move Lita, the lights flickered again, more violently this time. The energy readings from her body continued to climb, pushing the medical equipment to its limits. The next few hours would test not just their medical skills and technical expertise, but their ability to evade both internal security and the approaching Drachnid threat. Gordon's medical scanner beeped in warning as another energy surge coursed through Lita's translucent form. The readings forced Harry into action. He rushed to the environmental controls, redirecting power from his quarter's life support systems. "We need to stabilize her now," Harry said, fingers flying across the control panel. "The maintenance tunnels won't contain these energy signatures." Roberts nodded, already accessing the outpost's power grid through his security terminal. "I can reroute plasma containment fields from mining operations." It won't be pretty, but a sharp knock interrupted him. Harry's heart stopped as the door slid open, revealing Engineering Officer James Cooper. The veteran's eyes widened at the scene before him. "I tracked the power anomalies to this section," Cooper said, stepping inside and sealing the door, his gaze fixed on the energy readings. "Those signatures, they're similar to what we encountered during the Drachnid War." Roberts moved to intercept him, but Cooper raised his hands. "At ease, Chief. I'm not here to report this." He approached the medical console, studying the fluctuating patterns. "I worked on their containment systems during the war, and your current setup." He pointed to Harry's modified equipment. "It's going to fail catastrophically." Gordon checked his readings. "What do you mean?" "The plasma fields aren't calibrated for this type of energy matrix," Cooper explained, accessing the engineering controls. The Drachnids spent years trying to replicate this. They never succeeded, but I know how their containment systems worked. Lita convulsed, her skin emitting pulses of blue-white energy that made the lights flicker. The transformation, she gasped. It's accelerating. Your cellular structure is becoming unstable, Gordon reported, adjusting his scanner. The energy conversion is reaching critical levels. Cooper's fingers danced across the engineering console. The Drachnid's research showed the Suliban can generate self-sustaining energy matrices, but they could never force the process, every test subject. He paused, glancing at Lita. They died before completion. The outpost's intercom crackled. Security Team Alpha, begin residential sweep immediately. Start with Section 7. Commander Wilson's voice carried an edge of suspicion. That's 2 hours early, Roberts said, checking his tactical display. Martinez's team will be here in 15 minutes. Harry watched the energy reading spike again. We can't move her now. The containment field is barely holding. Wait, Cooper said, analyzing the energy patterns. This isn't cellular breakdown, it's controlled metamorphosis. He pointed to a recurring signature in the data. The process needs an electromagnetic catalyst to stabilize. The mining outpost's plasma harvesting systems could provide it, but accessing them would alert Wilson, Roberts finished. Another energy pulse from Lita caused the room's systems to surge. Warning indicators flashed across every display. Her molecular structure is shifting, Gordon reported. No Suliban has ever survived this stage of transformation. Cooper's hands hesitated over the engineering controls. If we provide the catalyst, the energy release could overload our primary systems. We'll be defenseless when the Drachnid ship arrives. Through the viewport, the first glint of the approaching Drachnid vessel appeared against the stars. The security team's footsteps echoed in the corridor outside, growing closer with each passing second. Harry looked at his companions, then at Lita's trembling form. The next few moments would change everything for her, for them, and possibly for every Suliban in the galaxy. But the cost of failure would be catastrophic. The security team's voices became audible in the hallway. Lieutenant Martinez's distinctive steps approached Harry's quarters. The engineering console displayed the massive energy potential building within Lita's transforming cells. Every second brought them closer to both discovery and disaster. Cooper's fingers hovered over the final command sequence that would connect their makeshift containment system to the outpost's plasma harvesting grid. The decision point had arrived. Harry's hand shot out, grabbing Cooper's wrist before he could execute the final command. Wait, the containment field, we need to modify it first. Cooper's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? The energy signatures, Harry explained, pointing to a cycling pattern on his medical display. They match the atmospheric harmonics we harvest. If we route the plasma containment through the primary harvesting buffers, we could disguise the power draw as routine mining operations, Cooper finished, already adjusting his calculations. Roberts activated his security console. Martinez's team is 30 seconds out. I'll intercept them, redirect their sweep pattern. He moved to the door, straightening his uniform. Cooper, get to engineering. Use your maintenance credentials. Doctor, Harry turned to Gordon, what about that experimental radiation therapy you've been developing? Gordon's eyes lit up. The stem cell treatment. It might help stabilize her cellular structure during the conversion. He began preparing a hypospray, his movements precise despite the urgency. The security chief slipped into the corridor just as Martinez's team rounded the corner. Through the closed door, Harry heard Robert's authoritative voice. Lieutenant, we've got anomalous readings in Section 4. Redirect your sweep there. Cooper accessed his engineering override. Thompson's on duty in auxiliary control. I'll have to work fast before he notices anything unusual. He headed for the door, pausing briefly. When I signal, be ready. We'll only get one shot at this. The door sealed behind Cooper as Gordon administered the modified stem cell treatment. Lita's energy patterns shifted, becoming more regular, more controlled. The room's lights stabilized. "It's working," Gordon said, studying his medical scanner. "The cellular degradation is slowing." A new alert flashed across Harry's console, Commander Wilson, requesting a direct link to engineering. Cooper's voice came through their encrypted channel. "Wilson's suspicious. He's heading down here for an inspection." Harry adjusted the containment field parameters, correlating them with the atmospheric harvesting data. Each energy pulse from Lita's transforming body now registered as a standard mining operation in the system logs. The outpost's artificial gravity fluctuated as Lita's form began to shift. Her solid matter rippled, edges becoming indistinct as portions of her body transformed into pure energy. Gordon's modified treatment kept the process from cascading out of control, but warning indicators showed the containment field straining under the load. "Emergency protocols initiated," the station's computer announced. Blast doors slammed shut throughout the residential section. "Cooper's buying us time," Harry realized, noting how the emergency lockdown had trapped both Wilson and Martinez's team away from their location. A new alert demanded attention, a Drachnid shuttle, requesting emergency docking clearance. The visual feed showed a massive figure visible through the shuttle's viewport. Chief Scientist Krivax, his cybernetic enhancements glinting in the starlight, burned scars evident even at this distance. "Energy conversion reaching critical threshold," Gordon reported as Lita's form pulsed with increasing intensity. "The containment field won't hold much longer." Harry's console chimed a priority message from auxiliary control. Chief Engineer Thompson had noticed the power fluctuations and begun emergency shutdown procedures. "Cooper," Harry called through their secure channel, "Thompson's initiating an override." "I see it," Cooper replied, his voice tight with concentration. "Rerouting command protocols through tertiary systems, but if he forces a manual shutdown." The room's gravity shifted again as Lita's energy field expanded. Her physical form now alternated between solid matter and pure energy in rhythmic waves. Each pulse corresponded to a specific harmonic frequency in Harry's data frequencies that matched Kepler 186f's unique atmospheric patterns. "Look at this," Gordon said, adjusting his scanner. "She's not just converting energy, she's controlling it, directing the conversion process itself." A warning klaxon blared through their secured channel. "Thompson's override is breaking through," Cooper reported. 3 minutes until total system shutdown. Wilson's almost at engineering, and Krivax's shuttle just docked in Bay 2. The containment field fluctuated as Thompson's commands began taking effect. Lita's energy patterns surged erratically, threatening to break free of their carefully constructed controls. Harry watched the approaching threats converge on his tactical display. Wilson's marker approaching engineering, Krivax's team moving through the docking section, and Thompson's override countdown ticking away in auxiliary control. The next few minutes would determine everything, and they were running out of options. Cooper's fingers flew across his console as Thompson's override commands threatened to shut down their containment systems. He accessed his emergency protocols, sealing the auxiliary control room's blast doors. Thompson was now secured inside, but that wouldn't stop his shutdown sequence. "Thompson," Cooper transmitted through a secure channel, "I'm sending you sensor data. Review it immediately." He packaged the readings from Lita's transformation and transmitted them to the auxiliary control room's displays. The shutdown sequence paused. Thompson's voice crackled through their comm. "These signatures, I've seen them before, during the war in the Drachnid research facilities." "We need your help," Cooper explained. "The containment field won't hold without your expertise." In Harry's quarters, Lita's form rippled between solid matter and pure energy. Gordon adjusted his scanner, noting how her translucent skin conducted the energy pulses like a natural circuit. Her skeletal structure, Harry observed. It's acting as an amplification network. The cellular changes aren't random, they're following existing pathways in her biology. A new alert flashed across Robert's tactical display. Krivax's team is deploying scan drones. First Officer Vexnar is leading the search personally. Roberts activated his command codes, triggering environmental alerts in the lower mining levels. Klaxons blared throughout the facility. "Commander Wilson," he transmitted, "we have critical pressure variations in mining Sector 6. Request immediate inspection." Wilson's marker on their display changed course, moving away from engineering. The reprieve wouldn't last long. Thompson's voice returned, stronger now. "Cooper, route the excess energy through mining substations 3 through 7. We can disperse the signature across multiple systems." Cooper implemented the changes as Harry monitored Lita's readings. Her energy field pulsed in regular patterns, each wave more controlled than the last. "The stem cell treatment," Gordon reported. "It's not just stabilizing her, it's facilitating a controlled metamorphosis. Her consciousness is maintaining coherence through the energy conversion." The room's atmospheric pressure fluctuated as Lita's field expanded. Down the corridor, scanning drones hummed past their position, their sensors seeking traces of Suliban energy emissions. "Vexnar's cybernetic enhancements will detect us soon," Roberts warned. "Those drones are calibrated specifically for Suliban signatures." Harry noticed a pattern in the energy readings. Her field is interfering with their scanners. Each pulse creates a momentary blind spot in their detection grid. The containment field shimmered as Thompson's modifications took effect. The energy signatures now appeared as standard mining operations, dispersed across multiple systems. "The transformation," Lita spoke, her voice resonating with harmonic frequencies. "I can feel the patterns. Control them." Her form shifted, creating structured plasma configurations that responded to her thoughts. The containment field's energy matrix adapted to match her movements, guided by Thompson's expertly calibrated adjustments. "Life support fluctuations on Deck 3, the computer announced. Warning indicators showed atmospheric pressure dropping throughout the section. "The power draw is affecting environmental systems," Cooper transmitted. "Thompson, we need to stabilize the grid." "Implementing wartime configuration delta," Thompson responded. "Rerouting auxiliary power through tertiary buffers." The pressure stabilized, but Vexnar's drones had detected the anomaly. Their scanning patterns became more focused, converging on their section. "Her consciousness is integrating with the plasma matrix," Gordon said, adjusting his medical monitors. "She's not just transforming, she's evolving into something new." Lita's energy field formed complex geometric patterns, each configuration more stable than the last. The containment system struggled to adapt as her conscious control grew stronger. "The containment protocols can't keep up with her neural patterns," Harry reported. "She's developing faster than our systems can compensate." Through the viewport, Krivax's massive form appeared at the end of the corridor, his cybernetic implants gleaming as he consulted with Vexnar. The drone's scanning patterns intensified, probing every room methodically. Thompson's voice cut through their comm channel. "The power grid's holding, but these readings, they're unlike anything from the Drachnid experiments. She's achieving what they never could: controlled plasma state transformation." Lita's field surged again, creating a momentary cascade through the outpost's power systems. The scanning drones faltered, their sensors overwhelmed by the energy spike. "They're adapting their scan frequencies," Roberts warned. "We have minutes at most." The transformation accelerated as Lita's consciousness expanded through her evolving plasma matrix. Each pulse brought new configurations, new abilities, and new challenges to their rapidly adapting containment systems. Harry watched as the being who had once been his friend continued her unprecedented metamorphosis. While outside their sanctuary, the Drachnid hunters drew ever closer to discovering the very thing they had spent decades trying to create. A high-pitched whine pierced the air as Krivax deployed specialized probes into the station's ventilation system. The small devices scattered through the ducts, their sensors precisely calibrated to detect Suliban energy signatures. Frequency shift, Cooper transmitted. The probes are scanning on resonance band deltasven. Thompson's fingers flew across his console, adjusting the containment field's harmonics. Compensating. We'll need to keep modifying the field pattern every few minutes to stay ahead of their scan cycles. The auxiliary control room's door chimed. Security override detected, the computer announced. Access granted. Deputy Engineering Chief Davidson, Paul. Thompson turned as Davidson entered, datapad in hand. The deputy chief's eyes narrowed at the complex power distribution patterns displayed across the auxiliary control screens. Interesting energy routing scheme, Davidson said, studying the readouts. Almost like the containment configurations we used during Operation Shadow Point. Thompson met his gaze. You recognize the pattern. I spent 2 years studying Drachnid containment systems. Davidson accessed the main engineering console. Your current setup is clever, but there's harmonic resonance building in the plasma conduits. It'll cascade within 20 minutes. Through their secure channel, Harry watched the exchange via security feed. Thompson, what's your assessment? Davidson was Earth Defense Force, Special Projects Division. Thompson transmitted additional data. If he wanted to expose us, he already would have. Davidson outlined his modification plan, highlighting critical power junctions on the engineering display. We'll need a complete reset of the primary plasma grid. 30 seconds to implement the changes. The field won't hold that long without power, Gordon protested. It's our only option, Cooper replied. The resonance buildup will breach containment anyway if we don't act. Harry studied Davidson's proposed modifications. The engineering specifications matched classified data he'd seen during his own military service. Do it. Thompson initiated the power cycle. The containment field flickered as systems went dark. Lita's energy form expanded through the momentary gap, illuminating the entire deck with brilliant plasma patterns. Warning klaxons blared. Emergency containment protocol initiated, the computer announced. Bulkhead doors slammed shut throughout the station. Drachnid life signs detected in sections 7 through 12, Roberts reported. They're cutting through the barriers. The sound of plasma torches echoed through the hull. Krivax's forces carved a direct path toward their position, the specialized cutting equipment making short work of the station's internal barriers. Wilson's voice carried through the general comm. This is the commander. Implementing station-wide security override, authorization Wilson 79 Delta. 7 minutes until all bulkheads release, Cooper calculated. Davidson's modifications. Implementation complete, Thompson confirmed. Power grid reconfiguring to new parameters. Gordon's medical scanner chirped. These patterns in Lita's energy matrix, they match encrypted Suliban transmissions from the war archives. She's not just transforming. She's accessing inherited genetic memories. The room's lighting fluctuated as Lita's consciousness expanded through her plasma form. Computer displays flickered, responding to her attempts to interface with the station systems. Power grid at 9 to 7% capacity, Cooper warned. The containment system can't handle much more. Davidson accessed the mining control systems. The plasma harvesting condensers could absorb the excess energy, help stabilize her new form, but we need access to main engineering. Through the security feeds, Harry watched Wilson's team securing the engineering section. The Drachnid forces advanced from the opposite direction, burning through the final sets of barriers. Roberts, Harry transmitted, how many barriers between us and main engineering? 3. Robert studied his tactical display, but Wilson's got 6 security officers in position. Gordon's scanner detected new energy patterns forming in Lita's plasma matrix. She's trying to interface with the station's systems. If we don't stabilize her soon, the power surges will overload every circuit on this deck. The harsh sound of plasma torches grew closer. Davidson accessed auxiliary engineering controls, preparing the plasma harvesting systems for activation. The next few minutes would determine whether their desperate plan succeeded or failed catastrophically. Harry watched the timing indicators counting down to the bulkhead release, while Lita's energy patterns grew increasingly complex. They needed access to main engineering, but with threats converging from both directions, their options narrowed by the second. Davidson's eyes darted to the maintenance access panel near the auxiliary control room's floor. The repair drone network we can bypass the bulkheads entirely. He pried open the panel, revealing a narrow service tunnel. These shafts run through the entire outpost. The drones use them for hull inspections. The sound of plasma cutters grew louder as Krivax's team breached another barrier. Roberts activated his tactical display, fingers flying across the controls. Defense turrets emerged from ceiling panels, their targeting systems locking onto the advancing Drachnid signatures. A new figure appeared in the doorway: Assistant Medical Officer Warren, medical scanner already active. His eyes widened at the sight of Lita's plasma form, but his training took over immediately. He swept his scanner across the room's occupants. "You're all showing signs of radiation exposure," Warren announced, pulling medical supplies from his kit. "The cellular damage patterns match what we saw during the Drachnid campaigns." He pressed a hypospray against Gordon's neck. "Modified anti-radiation compound. It'll protect against the worst effects." Cooper's display flashed red. "Power fluctuation in grid 7. Thompson, we need to adjust the containment harmonics." Thompson's fingers danced across his console, implementing rolling frequency shifts. "It's masking her energy signature, but these adjustments won't hold forever." The maintenance shaft's dim lighting cast harsh shadows as Davidson crawled through the narrow space. His engineering display showed the shortest route to the main control room 3 junctions ahead. In Harry's quarters, Lita's energy field pulsed with new patterns. Crystalline structures formed at its edges, glowing with internal light. Gordon adjusted his scanner's focus. "The crystallization is organized," he reported. "Her consciousness is creating physical interfaces with normal spacetime." Warren administered radiation treatments to the rest of the team while monitoring their vital signs. These energy levels would be lethal without protection. "The compound will buy us maybe 30 minutes. Robert's tactical display showed Krivax's team cutting through the 4th barrier. The defense turrets opened fire, their energy pulses barely slowing the Drachnid's advanced cutting equipment. "Emergency restart initiated," the computer announced. "Primary core reset in 5 minutes. All security systems will be affected." Harry studied the combined sensor data on his display. "These radiation patterns, they match stellar output exactly." The Suliban physiology must be adapted for this transformation. Davidson reached the engineering control room through the maintenance shaft's exit panel. 2 junior technicians, Foster and Rodriguez, spun to face him. "Sir." Foster's hand moved toward the security alert. "The Drachnids experimented on civilian populations during the war," Davidson said quickly. "That's what they're after now." Another test subject. Rodriguez's expression hardened. "They took my sister's whole colony for their research program. Help me access the plasma harvesting systems," Davidson urged. "We can save someone from their labs." The technicians shared a look, then moved to their stations. Rodriguez bypassed the safety interlocks while Foster initiated the harvester startup sequence. In the corridor outside Harry's quarters, the automated defense systems activated. Warning lights flashed as emergency containment protocols engaged. Neutralizing plasma release in sections 5 through 8 in 3 minutes, the computer announced. Cooper's hands flew across his console. The power grid can't handle much more. Thompson, we need those harvesters online now. Through the security feeds, Harry watched Davidson and the technicians working frantically in engineering. The harvester systems hummed to life, their massive conduits designed to process stellar plasma beginning to glow. Lita's crystalline structures grew more complex, forming intricate lattices that pulsed with energy. Gordon's scanner revealed new patterns in the formation. The crystals are creating quantum-stable interfaces, he reported, perfect conducting pathways for her energy form. The computer's countdown continued, core reset in 3 minutes, emergency containment protocols activating in 2 minutes, 4 to 5 seconds. Robert's tactical display showed the defense turrets falling silent, their power cells depleted. Through the remaining barriers, Krivax's cutting equipment sparked and hummed. Davidson's voice crackled through their comm. Harvesters at 60%. Foster's modifying the containment fields to match Lita's frequency patterns. The crystalline structures around Lita began to pulse in sync with the harvester system's energy signature. Her consciousness reached out through the station's power grid, testing the new pathways being created. A shadow detached itself from the maintenance shaft's darkness behind Davidson. Lieutenant Commander James Walker emerged silently, his presence unnoticed until he spoke. Your containment configuration needs a Gamma-Sven harmonic overlay. Walker's voice carried the gravelly tone of someone who rarely used it. The Drachnids are using Mark IV resonators. I recognize the sonic signature. Foster and Rodriguez snapped to attention, but Davidson's eyes narrowed in recognition. Ghost Walker, Special Operations. Walker accessed a secondary engineering console, his fingers moving with practiced precision. I've been monitoring through the classified security network. Wilson's core reset gives us 17 minutes. The Drachnids will breach in 12. The engineering displays shifted as Walker implemented new security protocols. Warning indicators flashed across multiple decks as systems began failing in carefully orchestrated patterns. Environmental control failure in Section 3, the computer announced. Security team needed for emergency repairs. Through the security feed, Harry watched Wilson's teams redirecting to handle the cascading technical emergencies. Walker's buying us time. Cooper, what's the status on those harvester modifications? The industrial capacitors can handle partial energy containment, Cooper transmitted. We'll need to split Lita's signature across multiple systems before the core reset. Thompson's console chirped. Solar storm approaching. Radiation front will hit in 17 minutes. Warren's medical scanner detected subtle changes in the crew's cellular structure. The radiation exposure, it's not damaging tissue anymore. Their cells are adapting to Lita's energy field. Gordon analyzed the new data. The Suliban transformation creates a biological interface. That's why the Drachnids' forced conversions failed. They needed human hosts. Davidson accessed the harvester controls. Foster, help me reconfigure these capacitors. Rodriguez, start prepping the portable containment units. We'll need to move some equipment through the maintenance shafts. The sound of sonic resonators pierced the hull. Lita's crystalline structures vibrated in response, their patterns shifting. The resonators will breach our containment field, Thompson warned. Walker activated his command override. Initiating maintenance drone defense protocol. Throughout the station, service drones activated, their systems reprogrammed to emit counterfrequencies. Harry studied the crystalline formations growing from Lita's energy field. The lattice structure, it's perfectly calibrated to human containment technology. Cooper, can you match the harvester frequencies to her crystal resonance? Attempting synchronization now. Cooper's hands flew across his console. The mining equipment's base frequency is already compatible. It's like our technology was designed for this. Rodriguez returned with portable containment units. These capacitors can handle 15% of the total energy signature each. We'll need at least 6 positioned around the station. Warren administered another round of radiation treatments. The cellular adaptation is accelerating. Their bodies are developing natural shielding. The maintenance drone's counterfrequencies collided with the drachnid resonators, creating a discordant web of competing sound waves. Walker monitored the effect through tactical displays. The interference pattern is holding, he reported. But they'll adjust their attack frequency soon. Davidson completed the harvester modifications. Primary capacitor bank ready. Thompson, begin energy transfer sequence on my mark. The computer's countdown continued. Core reset in 14 minutes. Warning, solar radiation increasing. Storm front approaching. Lita's energy form pulsed in sync with the harvester's frequency. The crystalline structures expanded, creating new interfaces with the station's systems. We need to move these capacitors now, Rodriguez insisted. The maintenance shafts are our only option. Foster programmed transport routes through the drone network. I can guide the units through automated pathways, but we'll need manual placement at each destination. The hull vibrated as another drachnid resonator activated. Walker's drone network adjusted, matching the new frequency pattern. Ghost Walker accessed his classified command codes. I'm implementing a level 9 security lockout. It won't stop Wilson's reset, but it'll prevent system access during the transfer process. Harry calculated timing sequences. Cooper, coordinate with Davidson. Start the energy transfer when I give the signal. Thompson, maintain containment stability. We'll only get one chance at this. The solar storm's radiation front approached as the team raced to position the capacitor network. Through it all, Lita's transformation continued, her energy matrix expanding through the crystalline lattice that bridged human technology and Suliban evolution. Warning klaxons blared as the drachnid cutting equipment breached another barrier. The maintenance drone's defensive screen flickered under increased sonic assault. 11 minutes remained until the core reset, and the station's systems hummed with building energy as the solar storm drew closer. Walker's eyes darted across the sensor displays. Wait the storm's radiation signature. It matches Lita's transformation frequency exactly. Davidson crossed to Walker's console, studying the incoming data. These energy patterns. Cooper, pull up the harvester specifications. Already on it. Cooper's fingers flew across his controls. The arrays can be modified to channel specific radiation bands. We'd need to recalibrate the intake manifolds. The environmental monitoring station's door slid open. Dr. Victor Ramirez strode in, his tablet displaying cascading radiation data. The storm contains unprecedented theta spectrum levels. I've been tracking Kepler 186 outputs for 3 years. This matches historical Suliban evolutionary markers. Dr. Ramirez, Harry acknowledged. What do you mean? Early Suliban development occurred during periods of intense theta radiation exposure. Ramirez connected his tablet to the main display. These readings mirror those conditions perfectly. Davidson's eyes lit up. We can use the harvesters to focus that radiation. Dr. Ramirez, help me calculate the optimal frequencies. A new alarm blared. Thompson's console flashed red. Krivax is deploying some kind of scanning device. It's mapping our power grid. Quantum resonance scanner, Walker identified. They'll trace any major energy signatures. Cooper initiated emergency protocols. Rerouting power through secondary systems. Thompson, help me establish alternative pathways. Warren's medical scanner chirped. He studied the results with widening eyes. The crew's cellular changes, they're not just resistant anymore. Their bodies are actively stabilizing Lita's energy field. A biological containment matrix, Gordon observed. The human Suliban compatibility. It's not random. The station's automated voice cut through their discussion, initiating radiation protection protocols. shield activation in 60 seconds. Technical Officer Sarah Gordon accessed the environmental controls. The shields will block the theta radiation we need. I can create selective gaps in the coverage without compromising critical systems. Do it, Harry ordered. Davidson, status on the harvester modifications. Final calibrations now. Rodriguez, coordinate with Dr. Ramirez on the frequency modulation. Walker's tactical display updated. Second Drachnid vessel detected. Containment ship heavily modified for energiform capture. The crystalline lattice surrounding Lita pulsed faster. Thompson monitored the readings. Her transformation is accelerating. The theta radiation is already affecting her matrix. Core reset in 8 minutes, the computer announced. Warning. Solar storm approaching perihelion. Sarah Gordon's hands moved across her console. Shield modifications complete, targeting the terradiation corridors established. Davidson activated the reconfigured harvesters. Plasma collection arrays online. Dr. Ramirez confirmed these frequency patterns. Theta spectrum isolated, Ramirez reported. Radiation flow stabilizing at optimal levels. Walker's maintenance drones shifted position, creating an interlocking energy net. Secondary containment field active. Drone network will help regulate the radiation flow. Cooper and Thompson worked in tandem, constantly adjusting power distribution to avoid detection by the Drachnid scanner. Each modification threatened to disrupt Lita's delicate energy balance. Containment ship entering weapons range in 7 minutes, Walker updated. Their capture systems will be in range 2 minutes after that. Warren monitored the crew's biological readings. The stabilization effect is strengthening. Their cellular structure is actually enhancing the transformation process. The station vibrated as another barrier fell to Krivax's cutting equipment. Through the maintenance shaft network, Davidson directed the final harvester adjustments. Storm reaching peak intensity, Ramirez announced. Theta radiation levels exceeding all previous records. Sarah Gordon's modified shields channeled the incoming energy in precise streams. Radiation corridors holding, 90 seconds until maximum exposure. The crystalline lattice expanded, its pattern shifting to match the focused theta radiation. Lita's energy form pulsed in harmony with both the incoming solar storm and the biological fields generated by the crew. Core reset in 6 minutes, the computer reminded them. Walker's drones adjusted their containment field as the transformation accelerated. The race against multiple deadlines had reached its critical phase. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Marcus Bradley announced from his communication station. His fingers moved across the decryption interface. Detecting encrypted signals between the containment vessel and Krivax's forces. Bradley's display filled with cascading data streams. His Earth Defense Force signals training kicked in as he isolated key patterns. The containment ship there equipped with quantum entanglement extractors. It's designed to forcibly separate energy beings into component states. That would destroy Lita's consciousness, Cooper said, his face pale. Warning indicators flashed across Davidson's engineering display. Microfractures forming in the plasma collection arrays. The radiation intensity is exceeding safety parameters. Standard containment won't hold, Cooper calculated. We need to reinforce those arrays now. Davidson accessed the drone control network, redirecting maintenance units to install support structures. Walker, can you spare any drones from defense? Negative. Walker's tactical display updated. Krivax's teams are deploying phase-shifted cutting equipment. They're burning through bulkheads at triple speed. The station trembled as another barrier fell. Walker's fingers flew across his console, accessing industrial systems, reprogramming mining robots, using processed ore to create physical barriers. Dr. Ramirez studied the approaching storm front. There's a pattern here: 3 distinct radiation waves. The second carries peak theta radiation levels. He highlighted a segment of data. We'll have a 7-minute window of optimal conditions. That timing matches the containment vessel's arrival, Thompson noted. The deck plates vibrated as automated mining units rumbled through nearby corridors, carrying loads of processed ore to reinforce Walker's defensive positions. A new figure emerged from the maintenance access mining chief Gregory Hansen, his uniform covered in mineral dust. The deep mining sensors picked up something. You need to see this. Hansen connected his data pad to the main display. These radiation patterns in the planet's crust, they're an exact match for your energy being's signature. Natural containment formations, Davidson realized. That's why her pod targeted this location. Warning klaxons blared as power demands spiked across multiple systems. Thompson's power management display showed critical stress indicators. We're redlining across all grids. Life support, containment, defenses, everything's drawing maximum power. Disable all non-essential systems, Foster ordered, bypassing safety interlocks. Redirect everything to maintain containment stability. The tactical display lit up with new warnings. Walker's expression hardened. Containment vessel charging weapons, energy disruption pulse detected. They'll knock out our power grid, Gordon analyzed, but we might be able to use the harvesting arrays as dampeners. She accessed the engineering controls. It would leave us exposed to the solar radiation, but do it, Harry commanded. Bradley, how long until that pulse hits? 4 minutes, 20 seconds, Bradley reported, still monitoring the encrypted transmissions. Containment vessel is accelerating. They're timing the pulse to coincide with their quantum extraction sequence. Davidson coordinated with the maintenance drones, racing to reinforce the collection arrays. Cooper, help me calculate minimum safe tolerances. We need these supports placed perfectly. The crystalline lattice surrounding Leda pulsed with increasing intensity. Warren's medical scanner chirped continuously as crew members' cellular structures evolved to match the energy patterns. Second radiation wave approaching, Ramirez announced. Peak theta levels in 6 minutes, 40 seconds. Gordon's fingers danced across her console, reprogramming the harvesting arrays. Dampening field modifications at 60%. We'll need at least 80 for effective protection. Through the security feeds, more barriers fell to Krivax's face-shifted cutting tools. Walker's mining robots worked frantically, building new defensive walls from processed ore as quickly as the drachnids breached existing ones. Core reset in 5 minutes, the computer reminded them. Warning, critical power fluctuations detected. The race against multiple deadlines continued as the station system strained under competing demands. Thompson and Foster fought to maintain power stability, while Gordon's modifications competed with the approaching storm front. Above them, Leda's energy form pulsed in harmony with the planet's natural containment frequencies as the team worked to preserve both her consciousness and their own survival. Hansen's data pad displayed a detailed subterranean scan, revealing crystalline formations that pulsed in perfect synchronization with Leda's energy matrix. These structures extend through 3 mining levels. The radiation patterns match her signature exactly. The planet itself could stabilize her transformation, Davidson said, analyzing the resonance frequencies. Chief Medical Officer Parker Reynolds burst through the door, his normally pristine lab coat spotted with coolant from crawling through maintenance tubes. Warren, your cellular adaptation data, I need to see it now. Warren transmitted the medical scans to Reynolds' tablet. The crew's biological changes are accelerating, just as I thought. Reynolds highlighted specific cellular patterns. These adaptations mirror cases I documented on Jupiter Station. Humans exposed to intense radiation developed similar protective mechanisms. We're not just resistant, we're becoming natural stabilizers for the transformation process. The station lurched. Crimson warning indicators flooded Walker's tactical display. Energy pulse detected. Containment vessel firing. The lights flickered as power fluctuations cascaded through the station's systems. Cooper's fingers flew across his console, bypassing failing circuits. Main power grid compromised. Switching to auxiliary systems. Rerouting through industrial equipment, Thompson announced, patching into the mining facility's heavy machinery networks, using the ore processors as power conduits. The maintenance access hatch slid open again. Security specialist Marcus Johnson led his tactical team into the control center, their armor bearing signs of recent combat. Drachnid containment tech spotted on approach scans. Anti-energy weapons division encountered similar systems during the Proxima campaign. Can we counter it? Harry asked. Johnson nodded to his team. They began placing modified mining charges at key junctions. These will create electromagnetic interference zones, should blind their scanning equipment. The first radiation wave hit. The station groaned as external collection platforms strained under the assault. Davidson's modifications held, but structural integrity warnings blared across multiple displays. Collection arrays at critical stress levels, Gordon reported. She pulled up a schematic of the crystalline formations. Those natural structures could filter the radiation. We need to move the containment operation below. Thompson ran the calculations. 17 minutes to relocate essential equipment, same time until the second wave hits. Start moving now, Harry ordered. Johnson, establish a defensive perimeter. Walker, coordinate drone support for equipment transfer. The maintenance drones detached from their defensive positions, forming a transport chain to move critical systems. Johnson's team spread out, deploying portable shield generators at strategic choke points. A low vibration rippled through the deck plates. Ramirez studied the seismic data with growing concern. The crystalline formations there resonating with Lida's energy signature, creating a feedback loop. Structural integrity of lower levels, Harry asked. Degrading. The interaction between her transformation and the crystal matrix is intensifying. Bradley's communication console chirped. Intercepting encrypted transmission. Commander Wilson is contacting the containment vessel. Walker patched the signal through surveillance systems. Wilson's voice filled the control center. Guarantee safe passage for all personnel. In exchange, I'll provide full access to station systems, and Harry cut the audio. Time estimate on Wilson accessing central controls. 20 minutes through standard protocols, Bradley calculated. Less if he bypasses safety interlocks. Keep monitoring those transmissions. Thompson, status on power rerouting. Industrial systems holding at 60% capacity. Mining equipment wasn't designed for this kind of power load. The crystalline lattice surrounding Lida pulsed faster as maintenance drones carefully disconnected the first set of containment equipment. Her energy form flickered, adjusting to the changes in the field. Drachnid cutting teams breaching level 4, Johnson reported, setting up interference zones to slow their advance. Gordon coordinated with the drone network, establishing a transfer corridor to the lower levels. First equipment modules ready for relocation. Dr. Ramirez will need constant monitoring of crystal resonance patterns during transport. Reynolds studied the latest medical scans. Crew's cellular adaptation accelerating. The closer we get to those crystal formations, the stronger the stabilization effect becomes. The station shuddered as another energy pulse struck. Through it all, the team raced to relocate their operation, knowing the next radiation wave would arrive in precisely 17 minutes, and with it, either their salvation or destruction. A thunderous crash shook the station as maintenance shaft 7B partially collapsed, blocking their primary route to the lower levels. Debris and twisted metal filled the corridor, clouds of dust billowing through the emergency lighting. That path's gone, Hansen said, his fingers flying across his data pad. But the ore processing tunnels can get us there. Follow me. The maintenance access hatch slid open, revealing Eric Blackwood and his repair team. Their environment suits bore scorch marks from prolonged exposure to the tunnel's intense radiation. "We've been tracking these energy fluctuations," Blackwood said, connecting his diagnostic tool to Davidson's console. "My team reinforced the chamber's structural supports. The crystals are stable for now." Gordon studied the readouts from Blackwood's data. These reinforcements could work. "Hansen, what's our radiation exposure through the processing route?" "Higher than optimal," Hansen replied, bringing up a tunnel schematic. "But the processing equipment provides some natural shielding." "Movement detected," Walker announced, his tactical display highlighting multiple signatures. "3 Drachnid teams, main force advancing on our position. 2 flanking groups heading for the emergency shafts." Johnson activated his tactical overlay. "Team 2, seal escape shaft Delta. Team 3, collapse access tunnel 9. We'll force them into a bottleneck at junction point Alpha." The first pieces of containment equipment moved through the processing tunnels, guided by Walker's drones. Massive ore processors lined the walls, their electromagnetic fields creating a natural disruption barrier against Drachnid scanners. Reynolds' medical scanner chirped rapidly. He magnified the cellular display, revealing crystalline structures forming within the crew's adapted cells. "Look at this pattern, it matches both Lita's energy signature and the planetary formations." Gordon accessed the containment field controls. "If I adjust our field frequency to match this resonance." She input new parameters. The crystalline lattice around Lita stabilized, its pulses smoothing into a steady rhythm. Warning indicators flashed across Thompson's console as the main power core began shutting down. "Wilson's locked us out of primary systems." "Rerouting through the ore processors," Davidson announced, his fingers dancing across the engineering interface. Industrial-grade power conduits hummed to life, feeding energy into their containment equipment. A series of sharp cracks echoed through the tunnel as several processors overloaded. "Drachnid vessel launching energy pulse," Bradley reported from his portable comm station. "Target locked on industrial power grid." Cooper accessed the facility's environmental controls, connecting to geothermal taps. He diverted power through the heat exchange network. The unusual configuration created electromagnetic echoes that scattered across the Drachnid vessel's targeting sensors. The team reached the crystalline chamber. Massive formations rose from floor to ceiling, pulsing with visible energy that cast shifting shadows across their equipment. The crystals resonated with increasing intensity as Lita's containment field settled into position. "Energy levels rising exponentially," Ramirez warned, studying his instruments. "The formations are amplifying both Lita's signature and the incoming solar radiation." The chamber's reinforced supports groaned under the strain. Blackwood directed his repair team to critical junctions, installing additional bracing. These structures weren't designed to handle this kind of energy load. "Second radiation wave in 4 minutes, Thompson announced. Power fluctuations increasing across all systems. Through the security feeds, Johnson's tactical teams engaged Krivax's forces at the predetermined choke points. Modified mining charges detonated in precise sequences, sealing selected tunnels and channeling the Drachnid advance. "Main controls going dark," Bradley reported as more of Wilson's shutdown commands took effect. "Losing outpost systems one by one." Gordon coordinated with the drone network, establishing their equipment in a circular pattern that matched the crystal chamber's natural resonance points. The containment field stabilized, forming a complex geometric pattern that pulsed in harmony with both Lita's energy signature and the surrounding formations. 3 minutes to radiation wave, Ramirez announced as crystal-enhanced cells throughout the crew's bodies resonated with the chamber's increasing energy. All readings off the scale. The chamber's lights flickered as another power system failed. Thompson rerouted additional circuits through the geothermal taps, heat exchangers at critical levels. We'll lose containment if the second wave hits before calibration is complete. The crystalline formations pulsed faster, their energy patterns shifting and swirling as Lita's transformation continued within the modified containment field. The chamber itself seemed to breathe with power as the team raced to synchronize their systems before the approaching storm front arrived. Crystalline formations across the chamber pulsed in synchronization with the containment field, their faceted surfaces casting prismatic patterns across the equipment. Hansen stepped closer to one of the larger crystal clusters, his eyes widening as he traced its geometric structure. "These patterns," he said, pulling up deep core sample data on his tablet. "They're identical to formations we found 2 kilometers down. The entire planet's crust is tinged with them." The maintenance shaft's access panel swung open with a hydraulic hiss. Marcus Winters, his geological survey uniform coated in crystal dust, climbed through the opening. "The patterns go deeper than that." He connected his data pad to Gordon's console, displaying a 3-dimensional map of subterranean crystal networks. 3 years mapping these formations. They form energy-conducting pathways across the entire planet. "Our outpost location wasn't random," Winters continued, zooming in on their position. "We built directly above a major node in the network." A thunderous crack echoed through the tunnels as Johnson's modified charges detonated. The crystal walls rippled with energy, creating localized gravity distortions. Security feeds showed Drachnid assault teams stumbling as their energy weapons sparked and misfired. "The crystal networks interfering with their weapons," Johnson reported through the comm. "Adjusting defensive positions to funnel them into the gravity distortion zones." Thompson's console flashed with new power readings as the geothermal tap lines absorbed excess energy from Lita's transformation. "Heat exchange system creating a closed power loop. It's masking our signature from the Drachnid vessel." "Warning," Cooper announced. "Geothermal taps approaching critical threshold. Outpost shutdown protocols initiating." Reynolds studied his medical scanner, tracking the crystalline changes spreading through the crew's cellular structure. "Our modified cells are acting as microscopic conduits." He transmitted the data to Gordon Station. "We're generating a biological containment field." The chamber shuddered as another Drachnid energy pulse struck. Equipment power flickered, but Lita's containment remained stable, supported by the crew's biological field. "Incoming data from the crystal analysis," Gordon announced. "Chamber harmonics match Suliban transformation frequencies exactly. This site, it's not a coincidence. The Suliban knew about these formations." Bradley's communication panel lit up with incoming transmissions. "Wilson's shutdown commands are failing. The crystal network's redistributing power faster than he can cut it." The chamber's resonance increased as Lita's energy form shifted and pulsed. Crystal formations grew along the walls, their structure aligning with her containment field. Power surges rippled through their equipment. "Structural integrity compromising," Blackwood reported, directing his engineers to reinforce critical support points. 23 minutes until total collapse. "Second radiation wave in 19 minutes, Thompson added, rerouting power through auxiliary systems. "Heat exchangers at maximum capacity." Winters studied the growing crystal formations. "The network's responding to her energy signature. It's trying to channel the transformation." "Drachnid teams advancing through Section 7, Walker announced from his tactical display. "Johnson's gravity distortions are slowing them down." Gordon adjusted the containment field parameters, synchronizing with the chamber's natural frequency. The crystalline walls pulsed with increasing intensity. "Power spikes building. We need to stabilize these surges before the second wave hits." "Channel excess energy through the ore processors," Davidson suggested, inputting new power routing commands. Use the electromagnetic fields to disperse the buildup. Thompson's fingers flew across his console as he balanced power distribution. Geothermal taps holding at 97%. Any higher and will trigger an automatic shutdown. The chamber groaned as another support beam buckled under the strain. Blackwood's team rushed to install reinforcement bracing, their tools sparking against the crystal-infused metal. Biological containment field strengthening, Reynolds reported. Crew cellular adaptation accelerating with proximity to the formations. Through the security feeds, Johnson's teams used portable gravity sensors to predict distortion patterns, positioning defensive equipment to maximize the crystal network's interference effect on drachnid weapons. Wilson stopping his shutdown attempt, Bradley announced, monitoring command channel communications. But he's still transmitting to the drachnid vessel. Hansen analyzed the growing crystal formations. These structures are creating a natural amplification network, if we can stabilize the resonance pattern. A massive power surge pulsed through the chamber. Equipment sparked as crystal growth accelerated, forming intricate geometric patterns across the walls and ceiling. Lita's energy form flickered and expanded within the containment field. 15 minutes to structural failure, Blackwood warned as more support beams creaked under the growing crystal mass. The team worked to balance their technological systems with the planet's natural energy network, racing against multiple countdown timers as the solar storm's second wave approached. Crystal formations continued to grow and pulse, their ancient purpose awakening as they channeled the forces of transformation. Growth patterns detected in Formation Beta, Hansen announced, his deep radar display lighting up with new crystal signatures. The structures aren't just conducting energy, they're replicating. Mining supervisor Blackwood rushed to a support column, pressing a structural analyzer against its surface. These formations match Suliban architectural patterns. Look at these angles, 37 degrees exactly, like the temples on their homeworld. The maintenance shaft's access hatch swung open. Deep mining specialist Trevor Nash pulled himself through, his environmental suit covered in crystal dust. He immediately moved to Hansen's station, studying the readouts. These growth patterns, I've seen them before in deep space operations, Nash said, fingers flying across the console. It's a self-organizing energy matrix. We can use the natural geometric progression to redirect growth away from critical supports. A deafening screech pierced the chamber. Johnson's voice crackled over the comm. Drachnids deploying sonic weapons. They're targeting the crystal structures. The chamber walls vibrated as crystalline segments began to fracture. Davidson accessed the ore processing controls. Activating heavy crusher units. The massive machines hummed to life, their grinding frequencies creating interference patterns that neutralized the sonic assault. Geothermal taps showing molecular degradation, Thompson announced. His display flashed with multiple warnings. Power conduits breaking down at the atomic level. Rerouting through secondary systems, Davidson responded. He created a circuit diagram in midair, highlighting alternate power paths. We'll need manual adjustments every 3 minutes to prevent overload. The chamber door slid open. Robert Gordon entered, carrying a portable spectrometer. Sarah, look at this. He connected his device to his sister's console. The crystal composition it contains trace elements identical to Suliban biological markers. Dr. Gordon's eyes widened as she studied the data. The entire planet evolved to facilitate their transformation technology. That's why the containment field synchronized so quickly. The floor trembled. Paul Martinez's voice came through the command channel. Solar radiation affecting orbital stability. Implementing emergency thrusters, but we're losing synchronous position. Plasma collection arrays misaligning by 2 degrees per minute. A low rumble built beneath their feet. Hansen's deep radar lit up with seismic disturbances. Activity spreading through the crystal network. Wait, the vibrations are actually reinforcing unstable fault lines. Nash moved between crystal formations, placing portable resonance dampeners. The geometric progression is accelerating. We need to stabilize these nodes before his warning cut off as a massive crystal spike erupted from the floor. Equipment slid across the chamber as localized gravity wells formed around pooling geometric patterns. Additional Drachnid vessels detected, Bradley reported from his communication station. Long-range scans show mining equipment designed for mass crystal extraction. Gordon secured her containment field monitors against the shifting gravity. These fluctuations match Suliban energy manipulation frequencies, the chambers reconstructing their transformation technology. Thompson's hands moved across his console, adjusting power levels. Geothermal distribution holding at 86% through the backup network, redirecting surge to Section 5. The crystal walls pulsed faster, their light synchronizing with the ripples of energy flowing through Leda's containment field. Nash studied the growing formations, directing Blackwood's repair teams to reinforce specific junctions. Primary support failing in Section 3, Blackwood called out. His engineers rushed to install additional bracing as crystal masses continued to expand. Johnson's tactical feed showed his teams repositioning defensive equipment around the gravity distortion zones. The modified mining charges created precise resonance patterns that disrupted both sonic and conventional Drachnid weapons. The chamber's crystalline growths accelerated, forming intricate geometric networks that channeled increasing amounts of energy. Nash coordinated with Gordon, adjusting containment parameters to match the natural harmonics of the evolving structures. Each power surge through the crystal network brought them closer to either breakthrough or catastrophic failure. Leda's energy form pulsed brighter within its containment field as the chamber's transformation continued. The team worked to integrate their technology with the planet's ancient systems, racing against structural instability and approaching enemy forces. Crystal formations spread across the walls and ceiling, their patterns growing more complex with each passing minute. Gordon's display lit up with new chemical analysis data. The crystal formations they're incorporating processed ore from our stockpiles. She highlighted mineral composition readings. The integration pattern matches our facility's structural alloys. Nash verified the readings on his scanner. The network's adapting to our infrastructure. These new formations are creating hybrid support structures. A harsh grinding noise filled the chamber as crystal growths merged with metal support beams. The maintenance shaft's access panel swung open, admitting power systems specialist Derek Matthews. His eyes widened at the sight of the transformed chamber. These power signatures. Matthews rushed to Thompson's station, studying the energy distribution patterns. It's a natural version of the high-efficiency grid I theorized for the Europa project. His fingers flew across the console. We can optimize these power flows, take pressure off the geothermal taps. Johnson's tactical feed updated with new sensor data. Crystal formations are creating energy feedback loops. Drachnid weapons fire back into their own lines. He transmitted new positioning orders, moving teams to crystal-dense sectors, forced them to switch to projectile weapons. The chamber floor trembled as crystal masses spread through lower storage levels. Nash's deep radar showed accelerating growth patterns consuming stockpiled ore. Formation speed increasing, structure stress rising in sectors 12 through 15. Get those support beams in place, Blackwood directed his engineers. Industrial bracing units whined as they extended, reinforcing crystal compromise junctions. Thompson's console flashed with orbital warnings. Crystal mass affecting station balance, stabilizers failing. He opened a channel to station control. Martinez, we need emergency thrust compensation. Implementing thrust adjustments, Martinez responded. But we're losing synchronous lock, 2 degrees drift per minute. Bradley intercepted incoming transmissions. Drachnid probes scanning our position. They're mapping the crystal patterns. He isolated data packets. Walker's systems caught outbound transmissions. They're analyzing the formations for weapons applications. Energy surged through the chamber as Lita's containment field pulsed. New crystal structures grew in geometric patterns, their design precisely matching the field harmonics. Several power conduits overloaded in cascading sparks. Rerouting through tertiary systems, Matthews called out, his hands dancing across 3 separate control panels. The formations they're responding to her energy signature. She's guiding their growth. Radiation alarms blared as crystal tendrils reached the reactor housing. Thompson's display showed dangerous power fluctuations, core radiation levels spiking, containment field stability dropping. Initiating emergency protocols, Davidson announced, activating backup cooling systems. Reactor output at 130% and climbing. Bradley's communication panel lit up with priority alerts. Wilson's accessing environmental controls. He's preparing to vent the lower levels. Override those commands, Gordon ordered, initiating security lockouts. We can't let him expose the chamber to vacuum. The crystal walls pulsed faster as Lita's energy form expanded. Matthews coordinated with Thompson, balancing power loads through the evolving grid. New formations grew with increasing precision, creating specialized containment structures that merged seamlessly with their technological systems. Second radiation wave incoming, Thompson reported. 1 minute until impact. The hybrid crystal metal chamber hummed with building energy as the team raced to stabilize their systems. Through the security feeds, Johnson's forces used the crystal formations as natural defensive positions, forcing Drachnid teams to abandon their energy weapons. The transformation chamber continued its evolution, preparing for the approaching solar storm. Radiation storm. Hansen's deep radar pinged with an unexpected signature. He adjusted the scanning parameters, revealing a perfect sphere carved into the bedrock beneath their feet. New chamber detected directly below us. Diameter, 30 meters. The chamber's display lit up with a brilliant pulse that matched the rhythm of Lita's energy field. Winters rushed to analyze the geological data, her eyes widening. These formations, they're artificial. The sphere's inner surface shows tool marks consistent with Suliban construction techniques. The maintenance shaft's emergency hatch swung open with a hydraulic hiss. Art Wallace emerged, his gray hair dusted with crystal particles. He carried a handheld structural analyzer, its holographic display projecting stress patterns through the chamber. "Look at these growth vectors," Wallace said, connecting his device to the main engineering station. "The crystal structures are integrating with our support columns." He highlighted several key junctions where crystalline formations wrapped around metal beams. "They're creating a reinforced lattice stronger than our original architecture." Johnson's tactical feed updated with new defensive positions. Teams reporting unusual weapon effects. Concentrated sonic pulses through crystal formation delta are disrupting Drachnid energy weapons. Gordon accessed the sonic emitter controls, adjusting frequency patterns. "We can create overlapping fields of interference." Her fingers danced across the console as she established a network of protective zones around vital equipment. The station shuddered as multiple impacts struck the outer hull. Bradley's communication panel lit up with warning signals. Drachnid mining pods detected. They're using focused plasma beams to extract crystal samples. "Those beams will destabilize the entire network," Matthews warned, analyzing the energy signatures. "Thompson, we need emergency shielding." Thompson accessed the ore separation systems, redirecting power to electromagnetic barriers. The air crackled as invisible fields deflected the searing plasma beams. Crystal formations spread across computer terminals, merging with circuit boards and data cores. Martinez watched in amazement as processing speeds accelerated beyond normal parameters. The crystal network is enhancing our systems. It's automatically optimizing power distribution for the containment field. Emergency, klaxons blared as Wilson initiated his override sequence. Atmosphere vented from several lower sections, but the crystal structures responded instantly. Crystalline barriers sealed breaches while maintenance hatches locked shut, trapping Wilson's security teams in isolated corridors. The network is protecting itself, Nash observed, studying energy readings from the sphere below. And that chamber is generating a stabilization field that perfectly matches our containment frequencies. We need to move the operation down there, Blackwood said. My teams can establish a transfer corridor using portable field generators. Dr. Reynolds rushed between monitoring stations, checking radiation levels. The crystal structures are acting as selective filters. They're amplifying the transformation frequencies while blocking harmful radiation. Martinez, what's our timeline? Gordon asked, studying the approaching storm front. 12 minutes until peak radiation. That's exactly how long a controlled transfer will take. Nash coordinated with Wallace, establishing safe paths through the crystal-dense sections. We'll need to maintain both containment fields during transition. One power fluctuation could destabilize the entire process. Gordon's analysis of Lita's pod data revealed familiar patterns. These crystal formations match encrypted Suliban protocols we found in the escape pod. This isn't random growth, it's following pre-programmed transformation sequences. The chamber trembled as another wave of mining pods attacked the outer hull. Thompson diverted additional power to the electromagnetic barriers, while Johnson's teams used the crystal-enhanced sonic defenses to protect their evacuation route. Transfer preparations complete, Blackwood announced, moving containment equipment to Position 1. Crystal formations pulsed with increasing intensity as the team began their carefully orchestrated relocation. The ancient chamber waited below, its purpose awakening after millennia of dormancy. Environmental systems analyst Peter Hawthorne burst through the maintenance shaft, his handheld atmospheric analyzer displaying rapidly changing data streams. The crystal formations, they're generating breathable air. He connected his device to Gordon's station. Perfect Earth-normal composition. Crystal lattices pulsed with blue-white light as the chamber's transformation continued. Hawthorne's readings showed oxygen levels rising while carbon dioxide decreased. Our life support systems are redlining from containment field strain. We need this alternative atmosphere. The maintenance shaft's emergency hatch opened again, admitting Chief Robotics Officer Samuel Drake. His modified maintenance drones spread through the chamber, their scanning beams mapping the crystalline growth patterns. These readings match Suliban Tech signatures. Drake's control tablet displayed a three-dimensional map of the sphere below. The chamber's full of inactive machinery. His drone's holographic projections revealed intricate networks of dormant energy conduits threading through the ancient walls. The patterns matched known Suliban artifacts, but at a scale none of them had encountered before. Johnson studied the tactical display as crystal formations redirected Drachnid assault teams into narrowing corridors. Blackwood, can your boring equipment create false passages here and here? He highlighted two intersections. Already on it. Blackwood's engineering crews activated industrial tunnel borers, carving deceptive routes through the rock. Crystal growth sealed the Drachnid's retreat paths, trapping them in deadened tunnels away from critical systems. Warning klaxons blared as the outpost's main reactor initiated emergency shutdown procedures. Matthew's fingers flew across his console. Wilson's final failsafe. But look at these readings, the crystal networks tapping directly into geothermal energy. His display showed power flowing through natural conduits in the planet's crust. We've got a self-sustaining grid. Nash's deep radar revealed the ancient chamber's walls flowing like liquid metal, forming structures that precisely matched Suliban energy manipulation systems. The sphere's reconfiguring itself. These patterns they'll amplify and contain the storm radiation. "We've got bigger problems," Robert Gordon announced, analyzing mineral composition data. The processed ore in these formations contains an unknown isotope. It's accelerating the transformation exponentially. His screens showed energy levels approaching critical thresholds. 7 minutes until containment failure. Martinez's tactical display lit up with incoming threats. Second wave of mining pods detected. They're equipped with crystal disruption fields. He accessed the ore processing controls, redirecting the facility's electromagnetic arrays. The approaching pods veered off course, their guidance systems confused by the powerful magnetic fields. The chamber floor vibrated as structural integration specialist Michael Torres emerged from below. "I've found a stable transit corridor." The crystal growth created a reinforced pathway straight to the ancient chamber. He transmitted structural analysis data to Blackwood's engineering team. "We can move the containment equipment without losing field integrity." Crystal formations continued spreading across computer systems, neural interfaces glowing with subtle patterns that matched human brainwave frequencies. Gordon's medical sensors detected increasing synchronization between the crew's neural activity and the growing crystalline network. "Beginning equipment transfer," Blackwood announced. His teams activated gravitic lifts, carefully maneuvering containment field generators through the crystal-reinforced corridor. Energy surged through the hybrid systems as Lita's consciousness guided the transformation process. Outside, Drachnid mining pods unleashed crystalline disruption beams that shattered outer formations. Martinez coordinated with Thompson, using precisely timed electromagnetic pulses to deflect the attacks while maintaining power to critical systems. The ancient sphere hummed with building energy as dormant Suliban machinery awakened, responding to the combination of human neural patterns and Lita's transformation field. Drake's drones mapped newly forming connections between the alien technology and their hybrid crystal metal grid. 5 minutes to solar storm peak," Thompson called out. "Containment field stable at 60% transfer." His displays showed power flowing through both chambers as they executed their carefully planned relocation. The crystal network pulsed with increasing intensity, its growth accelerating as it incorporated more of the unknown isotope. Gordon's screens filled with warnings as the transformation process threatened to overwhelm their remaining safeguards. Torres coordinated with Blackwood's engineers, reinforcing the transit corridor's structural integrity as they raced to complete the transfer before containment failed. A vibration rippled through the transit corridor as Jack Morrison burst through a secondary maintenance shaft, his quantum analysis pad displaying complex waveform patterns. The crystal network is forming a natural quantum containment grid. He connected his device to Gordon's station, projecting a holographic model of interlacing energy fields. These patterns match theoretical models for stable transformation systems. The floor beneath them groaned as crystal formations spread through primary support columns. Marcus Hayes and his maintenance team emerged from the lower access way, carrying portable structural reinforcement units. "We need to redirect the crystal growth," Hayes said, studying structural integrity readings. "The network's compromising critical load-bearing points." Hayes's team deployed electromagnetic guidance arrays, creating controlled channels for crystal expansion. The formations responded instantly, flowing around reinforced beams instead of through them. "The crystals are actually strengthening our infrastructure," Hayes reported. "They're forming natural support archways." Johnson's tactical display updated with new sensor data. "These formations respond to our mining equipment frequencies." He highlighted several corridors where crystals intersected with ore processing units. Martinez, can you adjust the electromagnetic output? Already on it. Martinez recalibrated the processing equipment, creating overlapping fields of disruption. Through security feeds, they watched Drachnid energy weapons discharge harmlessly into crystal matrices, forcing the attackers to switch to primitive projectile-based weapons. Drake's drones mapped the ancient chamber as dormant machinery hummed to life. Holographic readouts showed power conduits activating in precise sequences, drawing energy directly from the planet's core. The Suliban systems are integrating with our equipment, Drake observed. We've got stable geothermal power independent of outpost systems. The chamber shuddered as gravitational distortion waves struck the outer hull. Drachnid reinforcements deploying crystal destabilizers, Martinez warned. His screens showed dangerous resonance patterns building throughout the network. Matthews rushed between power distribution nodes, implementing emergency modifications, redirecting electromagnetic shielding to create a protective envelope. The air crackled as invisible barriers deflected the gravitational attacks, preserving the crystal structure's integrity. Hansen's deep radar revealed new details of the underground complex, the chamber's part of an extensive facility. His scans mapped a vast network of interconnected rooms and corridors, all showing Suliban engineering signatures. This entire planet was a transformation center. Dr. Reynolds studied cellular analysis data with growing concern. Crystal mutations accelerating in all personnel. Human cells are forming microscopic structures matching chamber architecture. She transmitted detailed scans to Gordon Station. The biological integration is happening faster than predicted. Gordon's screens filled with activation sequences as the ancient facility prepared for the approaching storm. The chambers designed to focus and channel solar radiation through crystalline amplifiers. He highlighted critical power junctions where their equipment interfaced with Suliban technology. But the energy requirements exceed our containment capabilities. Multiple impacts struck the lower hull as Drachnid mining pods targeted crystal formation points. Hayes coordinated with defense teams, using portable shield generators to protect vital network nodes. They're trying to disrupt the natural growth patterns, he reported. We need to maintain structural integrity during transfer. The ancient chamber's walls pulsed with geometric patterns that synchronized with Lita's transformation field. Morrison's quantum analysis revealed increasing coherence between human neural patterns and the crystalline network. The system's achieving quantum resonance, he announced. 3 minutes until optimal transfer conditions. Through security feeds, they watched Drachnid forces fall back from crystal-reinforced corridors, their energy weapons rendered useless by the growing network of disruptive fields. Johnson's teams maintained defensive positions, while Blackwood's engineers completed the final phase of equipment relocation. The chamber trembled as another wave of gravitational attacks tested Hayes's reinforced structure. Crystal formations continued their geometric expansion, guided by the combination of electromagnetic fields and Suliban activation sequences. The team worked to stabilize multiple systems as the transformation process accelerated toward its critical threshold. 2 minutes to solar storm peak, Thompson called out. Containment field holding at 80% transfer. Energy cascaded through the hybrid crystal metal grid as ancient and modern technologies merged into a single integrated system. Kyle Bennett burst through the emergency access tunnel, his environmental analysis pad displaying complex atmospheric data. The crystal formations, they're not just generating breathable air. He connected to the main systems, projecting a holographic model of molecular interactions. The gas mixture enhances energy conductivity while providing radiation protection. These readings are beyond anything in our databases. Look at these conduction patterns. James Peterson emerged from the research lab, carrying prototype samples of radiation-resistant alloys. He held up a crystalline metallic composite that gleamed under the chamber's pulsing light. The molecular structure matches perfectly. He transmitted detailed scans to Blackwood's engineering team. We can reinforce the transfer corridor with these materials. Martinez's tactical display flashed with new warnings. Incoming pods equipped with crystalline resonance disruptors. The screens showed specialized devices mounted on the Drachnid vessels, designed to shatter crystal formations at their fundamental frequencies. Hayes accessed the mining facilities or processing controls. Activating countermeasure protocols. Industrial vibration units hummed to life, generating complex interference patterns that protected vital crystal structures. The attacking pod's disruption beams scattered harmlessly across the reinforced surfaces. Drake's drones discovered previously hidden maintenance channels within the ancient chamber's walls. These conduits were designed for automated crystal maintenance. His control tablet displayed an expanding network of energy pathways as Lita's transformation field interfaced with dormant Suliban systems. The entire facility is awakening. A warning alarm blared as crystal growth reached the primary coolant systems. Matthews analyzed rapidly changing thermal readings. The formations are creating natural heat sinks. Energy flowed through crystalline channels, dissipating into the planet's crust. Cooling efficiency increased by 300%. Hansen's deep radar revealed new details of the chamber's internal structure, detecting inactive plasma focusing arrays. The scans highlighted intricate patterns of crystalline technology built into the walls. These match recovered Suliban designs. We can integrate our containment equipment directly. Engineering teams deployed hybrid power couplings, connecting modern generators to ancient focusing arrays. The chamber's walls pulsed with increasing energy as the two technologies synchronized, creating a stable containment field stronger than either system alone. Orbital decay accelerating, Martinez announced. His screens displayed the facility's deteriorating position. 8 minutes until structural failure. The outpost groaned under increasing gravitational stress. Gordon's sensors detected automated defense protocols activating within the crystal matrix. The chambers generating selective force fields. Security feeds showed Drachnid energy weapons dissipating harmlessly against invisible barriers while human equipment passed through unaffected. The facility's security systems recognize our tech signatures. Hawthorne mapped stable energy corridors forming between their position and the ancient chamber. Natural conduction pathways are stabilizing. He coordinated with Matthews, adjusting power distribution to maintain field integrity. We can transfer Lita's energy form through these channels. Crystal formations continued their geometric expansion as the team executed their accelerated relocation plan. Peterson's reinforced alloys strengthened critical junctions, while Bennett's optimized atmosphere enhanced power flow through the hybrid systems. The ancient chamber's plasma arrays hummed with building energy, preparing to channel the approaching solar storm. Drake's drones spread through the maintenance network, their sensors mapping newly activated Suliban machinery. The crystalline walls flowed like liquid metal, forming structures perfectly aligned with human neural patterns. In the transfer corridor, Hayes's teams monitored structural integrity as multiple systems merged into a single integrated grid. The facility shuddered as another wave of gravitational distortion struck. Through security feeds, they watched Drachnid mining pods struggle against the chamber's selective defenses. Martinez coordinated with Johnson's tactical teams, using the natural energy corridors to maintain stable power while defending critical systems. Thunder rumbled through the ancient stone as the solar storm's leading edge approached. The hybrid containment field pulsed with increasing strength, crystal formations channeling power through reinforced pathways as the team raced to complete their equipment transfer before orbital decay tore the outpost apart when Victor Rhodes burst through the power distribution center's access hatch, radiation burns marking his environmental suit. The crystals are absorbing reactor radiation. He connected his diagnostic pad to Gordon's station, displaying real-time energy conversion data. They're transforming nuclear decay into stable frequencies matching Suliban patterns. A maintenance shaft cycled open as Sarah Gordon emerged, her mining suit covered in mineral residue. She rushed to her brother's station, uploading geological scans. These formations extend through the entire crust. Her deep-core samples revealed crystalline networks spanning thousands of kilometers. It's a planetary transformation grid. The chamber's walls hummed at a new frequency as Thompson's security detail secured the lower access points. Drachnid pods moving in standard siege configuration, Thompson announced, marking attack vectors on tactical displays. They'll target our weakest containment points first. Crystal formations flowed across neural interface panels, creating organic connection points that pulsed in sync with human brainwave patterns. Thompson placed his hand on a crystalline surface, jerking back as energy surged through his nervous system. The chambers responding to our neural signatures. Drachnid vessel establishing resonance lock, Hansen called out. His deep radar showed enemy weapons targeting critical nodes throughout the crystal network. Energy beams struck precise points in their power grid, threatening to collapse their containment field. Matthews rerouted power through mining shield generators, redirecting excess energy to reinforce affected sections. The crystalline walls absorbed and dispersed the attacks, maintaining field integrity as the facility's structure groaned under orbital stress. Explosive charges detonated in the upper corridor as Wilson's security forces breached containment barriers. Johnson's teams took defensive positions behind crystal formations, returning fire as Wilson's forces planted disruption devices on power conduits. They're targeting our energy grid, Johnson reported, directing suppressing fire through reinforced positions. The chamber's radiation sensors spiked as the solar storm's leading edge arrived ahead of schedule. Gordon's fingers flew across control interfaces, adjusting containment parameters. Field stability at 60%. Crystal structures absorbed excess radiation, channeling it through Suliban conversion arrays. Hayes coordinated with engineering teams, using mining equipment to brace failing support structures. Primary junctions reinforced. His structural analysis showed critical stress points throughout the facility. We've got minutes before total collapse. Ancient machinery activated in sequences as crystal formations spread through dormant systems. The chamber's walls flowed like liquid metal, creating new pathways that merged seamlessly with human technology. Martinez tracked power fluctuations, while Thompson's teams defended vital equipment during transit. Crystal matrices pulsed with increasing complexity, forming geometric patterns that matched recovered Suliban schematics. The facility's transformation systems are coming online, Drake reported, his drones mapping newly activated chambers throughout the complex. Particle beams from Drachnid weapons scattered against crystal-reinforced barriers as Johnson's forces maintained defensive positions. Through security feeds, they watched Wilson's teams plant more disruption charges, while Hayes's engineers rushed to complete vital equipment transfers. The ancient chamber systems continued integrating with their technology as Matthews balanced power distribution through failing conduits. Crystal formations strengthened structural supports while channeling energy through natural conversion pathways. Thompson coordinated defensive positions as multiple threats converged on their location. Radiation levels spiked again as another solar wave struck the facility. Gordon's modifications barely maintained containment stability, while Rhodes monitored crystal nuclear interactions through damaged sensor arrays. The chamber's walls pulsed with increasing energy as ancient and modern systems merged into a unified grid. Sarah Gordon's geological sensors detected new crystalline activations spreading through the planet's crust. The chamber shuddered as power surged through awakening Suliban machinery. Hansen tracked structural integrity, while Martinez coordinated defense against incoming drachnid pods. Through crystal reinforced corridors, the team raced to complete their transfer as the facility's orbit continued its terminal decay. A flash of movement caught Martinez's attention as Tim Graves burst through the radiation containment sector's airlock. Radiation burns marked his hazard suit, but his eyes gleamed with discovery as he rushed to the nearest console. The crystal conversion patterns there a perfect match. Graves connected his radiation analyzer, displaying complex energy signatures. These formations aren't just absorbing nuclear waste, they're transforming it into pure energy at exactly Lita's frequency. The chamber floor trembled as Carlos Vega's prototype drilling unit emerged from a maintenance shaft. Its sensor array immediately began pulsing with new data. Hidden energy conduits, Vega called out, adjusting his equipment's scanning frequency. Natural pathways running parallel to our transfer corridor. He transmitted the readings to Matthew's station. We can use these to stabilize the containment field. Wei Chang's structural analysis team deployed reinforcement sensors throughout the evacuation route. The crystal growth is creating self-supporting arches, Chang reported, his tablet displaying stress distribution patterns. These formations are actually holding the facility together. His engineers began mounting industrial support beams beneath key crystal junctions, their plasma welders casting blue light across the transformed corridors. Drake's drones dove deeper into the maintenance network, their cameras revealing crystal structures that flowed like liquid, sealing cracks moments after they formed. Automated repair protocols active, Drake announced. The damage from Wilson's charges isn't permanent. Hansen's mining sensors detected unusual activity in the ore processing section. The refined materials are crystallizing spontaneously. His screens showed geometric patterns spreading through storage containers. They're forming radiation shields around our route. He marked several points on the facility map. But we're losing access to emergency exits 4 through 7. The deck lurched violently as artificial gravity failed. Instead of floating free, the team felt localized gravitational fields snap into place around critical equipment. Matthews analyzed power readings from the new gravity zones. The crystal network is tapping directly into the planet's core, he reported. Independent power source, completely separate from facility systems. Through security feeds, Thompson watched drachnid mining pods fire sonic disruptors at the facility's outer crystal layer. The targeted sections shimmed, then reformed into denser patterns. Johnson, adjust defensive positions, Thompson commanded. Let them hit the outer formations, they're actually strengthening our barriers. Nash's seismic equipment began registering massive energy fluctuations. Crystal veins activating throughout the crust, he reported, tracking power signatures that converged on their position. Energy buildup increasing exponentially. Gordon's screens displayed a growing sphere of crystalline energy fields around their position, deflecting both weapons fire and solar radiation. Defense grid online, she reported, balancing power distribution through hybrid containment systems. But we need precise management to maintain it. The ancient chamber's walls pulsed with increasing intensity as crystal formations spread through awakening machinery. Equipment modules floated through gravity-controlled corridors, while engineering teams reinforced crystal arch supports. Through it all, Lita's energy form remained stable, contained within the strengthening field as they pushed deeper into the facility's transformed heart. Drachnid weapons fire scattered against evolved crystal barriers, while Wilson's disruption charges detonated harmlessly against self-repairing walls. The team pressed forward through the transfer corridor, surrounded by living crystal architecture that adapted and grew stronger with each passing moment. Above them, the solar storm's radiation fueled endless cycles of crystalline transformation, while the planet's crust channeled power through ancient pathways that had waited millennia to reawaken. A vibration through the crystalline walls preceded Brian Foster's arrival through the reinforced maintenance shaft. His prototype integration modules glinted under the pulsing light of the transformed chamber. 8 years of research, Foster said, connecting diagnostic cables to the nearest crystal formation. These interfaces can bridge the gap between our containment systems and the chamber's power grid. His fingers danced across haptic controls, calibrating neural frequency patterns. The crystal surface beneath his equipment rippled, forming organic connection ports that matched his module specifications. Through the security feeds, Martinez tracked 3 drachnid pods adjusting their attack vector while Foster worked. Energy spike in the lower sectors, Marcus Rivera called out, emerging from a mining shaft. His deep core sensors displayed scrolling data streams. The chambers tapping into crystalline power sources throughout the planetary crust. He transmitted the readings to Matthew's station. Formation density indicates potential energy storage capacity beyond our original estimates. Greg Parker's tactical display lit up as drachnid sonic weapons struck their outer barriers. The crystalline walls shimmered, redirecting the energy outward. Hostiles taking damage from their own attacks, Parker reported. Adjusting defense grid to maximize crystal resonance. Thompson and Matthews worked in tandem at the main power distribution hub, integrating their containment equipment with newly exposed Suliban interfaces. Crystal structures flowed around their modern technology, forming seamless connections. Primary shell stable, Matthews announced as the first containment field powered up. Secondary and tertiary barriers forming. Each layer of energy strengthened their position while channeling excess radiation through crystal conversion arrays. The facility lurched violently. Blackwood's engineering sensors showed the upper levels breaking apart under orbital stress. Crystal formations spread through support structures, anchoring critical sections directly into the bedrock. "We're losing the top 3 decks," Blackwood reported, "but the chamber's foundation is holding." Industrial lasers sliced through the upper corridor as Wilson's forces attempted to breach their position. The crystal barrier split the beams into harmless fragments, though power readings fluctuated with each impact. "Maintaining barrier integrity is draining our reserves," Gordon warned, adjusting containment parameters. Howard Gordon rushed through the lower access point, geological survey data streaming from his tablet. "The facility's location wasn't random," he explained, highlighting crystalline vein intersections on the planetary map. These natural formations can channel energy directly into the chamber's focusing arrays. Martinez's screens showed incoming drachnid reinforcements deploying modified plasma drills. She calculated rapid adjustments to their power distribution, creating electromagnetic interference patterns. "Their targeting systems are losing lock," she reported as the drills fired wild, missing critical systems. The solar storm's radiation levels spiked again. Crystal structures throughout the chamber shifted, absorbing and converting the deadly energy. Foster's integration modules pulsed with increasing power as the hybrid system struggled to maintain stability. "Conversion rate approaching critical threshold," Matthews warned, his fingers flying across control surfaces. The crystal walls hummed at new frequencies as ancient and modern technology merged into increasingly complex patterns. Thompson coordinated with Parker's security teams, positioning their remaining defensive turrets to create overlapping fields of crystal-enhanced protection. Through reinforced viewports, They watched Drachnid vessels scatter under their own reflected weapons fire. Rivera's deep core sensors detected new crystalline activations spreading outward from their position. The chamber's walls pulsed with increasing energy as power flowed through planetara-scale conduits. Foster's integration modules adapted in real time, maintaining crucial connections between their systems as the ancient machinery awakened. Through crystalline walls transformed by ancient technology, Michael Donovan emerged from the advanced research sector, his prototype fusion modules casting prismatic reflections across the chamber. He connected directly into the nearest power junction, linking his quantum interface systems with the pulsing crystal matrices. Quantum resonance established, Donovan announced, his hands dancing across holographic controls. These modules can synchronize our containment systems with the chamber's power grid at the subatomic level. The crystal surfaces rippled, forming intricate geometric patterns that interfaced with Donovan's equipment. Energy readouts stabilized as modern and ancient technologies achieved harmonic convergence. Through newly-formed conduits, power flowed in controlled streams, strengthening their defensive position. A flash of movement drew attention to the maintenance tunnel as Laura Maxwell arrived, her atmospheric processing units humming with activation sequences. She immediately began deploying radiation filtration arrays, their surfaces gleaming with specialized absorption technology. Converting excess emissions to usable power, Maxwell reported, monitoring atmospheric readouts. Chamber conditions stabilizing. Her equipment pulsed rhythmically, transforming deadly radiation into controlled energy waves that reinforced their containment fields. Johnson's tactical team discovered weapon emplacements concealed within crystalline formations. Suliban Defense Grid, Johnson called out, accessing ancient control interfaces. Point defense turrets emerged from crystal housings, generating focused barriers that deflected incoming Drachnid fire. The facility shuddered violently. Support columns fractured as upper levels began breaking apart. Blackwood's engineering sensors tracked crystal growth patterns forming new load-bearing structures. Natural formations extended through failing sections, anchoring critical systems directly into the planetary crust. Crystal network is compensating, Blackwood confirmed, watching as crystalline bridges transferred structural mass away from collapse zones. Chamber stability at 93%. Matthews monitored power fluctuations as Lita's transformation field synchronized with the chamber's energy matrix. Solar radiation from the approaching storm converted instantly to usable power, strengthening containment barriers through newly-formed conversion arrays. Benjamin Hunt arrived through a partially crystallized corridor, salvaged power regulators secured to his equipment harness. Upper facilities gone, he reported, connecting regulation units to exposed crystal nodes. But these should help manage power distribution. Hunt's systems integrated seamlessly with the growing crystal network. Power surges stabilized as hybrid containment fields maintained steady energy levels. Through reinforced viewports, they watched Drachnid mining pods scatter under precisely targeted crystal pulses. 7 minutes to total structural failure, Martinez warned, tracking orbital decay patterns. Her screens displayed countdown sequences as the upper facility continued breaking apart. We need full activation before we lose stabilization control. Gordon's diagnostic systems detected automated repair protocols spreading through damaged crystal sections. Fractured formations sealed themselves while power conduits strengthened under artificial reconstruction. The chamber's walls pulsed with increasing energy as ancient machinery restored itself to full operational capacity. Thompson coordinated defensive positions as his security teams exploited weaknesses in the Drachnid assault pattern. Concentrated energy bursts through crystal arrays disabled enemy pods, creating safe corridors for equipment transfer. Through it all, Lita's energy form remained stable within the evolving crystalline environment, her transformation proceeding under carefully maintained containment protocols. Power conversion reaching optimal levels, Donovan reported, his quantum interfaces adapting to increasing energy flows. The chamber's systems responded instantly to his adjustments, ancient and modern technologies working in perfect synchronization as they raced against approaching catastrophe. Maxwell's atmospheric processors hummed at peak efficiency, preventing radiation buildup while maintaining ideal conditions throughout the transformed chamber. Crystal formations continued growing stronger, their structures evolving to meet each new threat as the team pushed toward full system activation. A piercing hum filled the chamber as Ryan Frost Winters emerged through the last stable maintenance shaft, his prototype quantum resonance analyzers casting prismatic patterns across crystalline surfaces. He connected directly into the nearest power junction, screens lighting up with cascading data streams. These readings. Winters adjusted his analyzers, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces, the activations triggering a planet-wide cascade effect. Power accumulation through the crystal networks is exponential. The chamber walls pulsed with increasing intensity as Nathan Drake burst through a lower engineering access point, plasma containment units balanced against his shoulder harness. "Got the last functional units from Engineering Block 7, he called out, already connecting power feeds to exposed crystal nodes. His equipment displays showed concentric shells of energy forming around their position, each layer processing specific wavelengths of the incoming solar radiation. Energy shells are self-reinforcing, Drake reported, monitoring conversion rates. They're neutralizing harmful emissions while strengthening the containment field. Johnson's tactical team discovered recess panels within the crystalline architecture. These patterns match Suliban shield configurations, Johnson said, accessing ancient control surfaces. Crystal formations parted, revealing dormant generator arrays that hummed to life under his touch. Layers of translucent barriers materialized, creating overlapping defensive zones that drew power directly from planetary crystal veins. Deep radar signals from Hansen's mining sensors painted new data across their tactical displays. Similar activations detected at coordinates 227 by 184, Hansen announced. Power signatures matching our chamber's output, they're all linking together through the planet's crystal network. Crystal formations spread through fracturing support beams above their position. Hayes directed his engineering teams through reinforced channels, industrial bracing units gleaming under pulsing lights. Securing natural supports at junction points, Hayes called out. Should buy us enough time to complete the transfer. The chamber shuddered as drachnid mining pods breached the upper maintenance shafts. Specialized cutting tools extended from armored hulls, targeting exposed power conduits. Thompson's security teams responded instantly, deploying mobile barrier units while rerouting energy flow through backup pathways. Ancient defense systems activated automatically, generating localized disruption fields that caused drachnid equipment to spark and fail. Power Matrix is integrating with our containment systems, Matthews reported from the main control hub. His screens showed modern and ancient technologies merging into hybrid configurations, energy efficiency increasing with each successful interface. Maintaining stable power flow, but these feedback loops require constant adjustment. Gordon's instruments detected a massive surge in the chamber's power draw. Final activation sequence initiating, he warned, watching energy levels climb beyond predicted thresholds. Chambers tapping both the storm and planetary networks simultaneously. Martinez's orbital tracking systems displayed updated countdown sequences. 4 minutes, 40 seconds to structural failure, she announced. Upper facility collapse accelerating. Crystal barriers flared as Drachnid weapons fire intensified. The hybrid defense grid held steady, ancient shields working in concert with modern containment fields, while automated systems continued activating throughout the transformed chamber. Power flowed through newly formed conduits as the team worked to complete their integration before the combined threats could compromise their position. Winter's quantum analyzers detected new resonance patterns forming within the crystalline matrices. The chamber's adaptive algorithms are evolving, he reported, adjusting interface frequencies. Each system activation creates new power management protocols. Drake's containment units pulsed rhythmically as they processed incoming energy streams. Shell integrity at maximum capacity, he confirmed, converting radiation faster than the storm can deliver it. The facility's transformed heart continued to evolve, crystal formations growing stronger while ancient machinery awakened from millennia of dormancy. Through it all, Lida's energy form remained stable within the strengthening field as power levels surged through their hybrid systems. A piercing whine cut through the chamber as Alexander Reeves emerged from an emergency access tunnel. Specialized containment field harmonizers clutched against his chest. His equipment's displays cast shifting patterns across crystal surfaces while he connected directly into the nearest power junction. The crystalline matrix, Reeves called out, his screens flooding with quantum signature data. It's forming a self-sustaining cycle between Lida's field and the solar radiation. These harmonizers can stabilize the feedback loop. The chamber walls pulsed as his equipment integrated with the growing crystal network. Power readouts stabilized as the harmonizers created precise quantum-level synchronization between energy sources. Patricia Reese burst through a lower maintenance shaft, her engineering tablet displaying structural analysis data. The crystal reinforcement has formed an independent support shell, she announced, accessing control interfaces. We can separate from the upper facility. Her engineering team deployed industrial cutting charges at key structural points. Crystal formations automatically strengthened around vital systems as non-essential connections were severed. The chamber shuddered, then stabilized as the crystalline network compensated for the controlled demolition. Matthew's fingers danced across interface panels as he connected their remaining containment units to newly exposed Suliban defense arrays. Energy barriers materialized in concentric shells, deflecting both weapons fire and radiation while channeling useful frequencies into their integration field. Defense grid online, Matthews confirmed, redirecting power through hybrid interfaces. Gordon's monitoring stations detected new energy signatures radiating outward through planetary crystal veins. Nash's deep-skin radar painted expanding activation patterns across their tactical displays. Multiple facilities powering up, Nash reported, forming a planetary conduit network, power levels exceeding predicted thresholds. The chamber hummed at new frequencies as energy flooded through ancient pathways. Crystal surfaces rippled under the increasing power load while Gordon implemented emergency stabilization protocols. Drachnid vessels shifted attack patterns, deploying specialized pods equipped with phase-shift projectors. The crystalline barriers flickered as enemy weapons passed through their outer layers. Electromagnetic separation field, Thompson shouted. Channel it through the ore processors. His security teams redirected power to industrial mining equipment. Concentrated electromagnetic pulses disrupted the phase-shift effect, sending Drachnid weapons fire ricocheting harmlessly away. Haze rushed between power distribution nodes, creating redundant circuits to handle the additional strain. 2 minutes 40 seconds, Martinez warned from her orbital tracking station. Upper facility reaching critical failure points. Thompson coordinated with Blackwood's mining teams as they reinforced vital junctions. Crystal growth patterns merged with industrial support structures, creating hybrid reinforcement around critical systems. Kevin Anderson arrived through a partially crystallized corridor, prototype composite panels secured to his equipment harness. The crystal-metal hybrid materials bridged gaps between modern and ancient technologies, maintaining stable power flow despite increasing structural stress. Interface stability at 97%, Anderson reported, monitoring connection points. Composite materials holding under load. Radiation alarms blared as the solar storm's leading edge reached their position. Crystal formations extended automatically, absorbing and converting deadly emissions into usable energy. Matthew's fingers flew across control surfaces as he implemented load balancing protocols. Redirecting excess power through planetary conduits, he announced. Maintaining field stability. The chamber's walls pulsed with increasing intensity as ancient machinery approached full activation. Power flowed through crystalline veins while the team worked to complete their integration, racing against the combined threats bearing down on their position. Through newly formed barriers augmented by Anderson's composite materials, they watched Drachnid vessels scatter under precisely targeted defensive fire as the transformed chamber continued to evolve. A blinding flash erupted through the crystalline barriers as Daniel Echo Morrison burst through the research sector's emergency bunker entrance. His prototype resonance stabilizers cast prismatic patterns across transformed surfaces while he connected into the nearest power junction. The matrix signatures, Morrison called out, quantum displays flooding with real-time data. They're achieving harmonic convergence between our systems and the Suliban tech. His stabilizers pulsed in precise sequences, creating quantum-level synchronization between disparate energy sources. Crystal formations responded instantly, their structures evolving to accommodate the enhanced power flow. Warren Hughes emerged through a reinforced maintenance shaft, modified containment generators balanced against his shoulder harness. His radiation sensors detected complex energy patterns forming between Lita's transformation field and the ancient power grid. The containment field, Hughes announced, adjusting generator frequencies. It's synchronized with chamber harmonics. We can use this feedback loop to strengthen our defenses. Thompson reached the primary control hub, his fingers dancing across ancient interface panels. The massive crystalline core at the chamber's center hummed to life, drawing energy simultaneously from the approaching storm and planetary crystal network. Power surged through newly formed conduits, reinforcing their hybrid containment field while energizing defensive arrays. Drachnid mining pods breached the upper maintenance shaft, deploying specialized cutting equipment designed to destabilize crystal formations. Johnson's security teams responded instantly, their screens displaying automated defense protocols activating throughout the chamber. Counterfrequency pulses radiated from ancient emitters, causing enemy weapons to spark and fail while strengthening affected crystal structures. Deep radar detecting massive power signatures, Hansen reported from his monitoring station. Similar facilities activating across the surface, they're all linking to our position. Matthew's hands flew across control interfaces as he implemented emergency power management protocols. Redirecting excess energy through stabilized conduits, he announced, maintaining field integrity under increased load. The facility shuddered as structural supports failed in the levels above. Hayes directed his engineering teams through reinforced channels, deploying industrial bracing units while crystal formations created natural reinforcement patterns. The ancient chamber's walls pulsed with increasing intensity as a stable shell formed around their position. Upper facility reaching terminal collapse, Martinez warned, checking orbital tracking data. 2 minutes until total structural failure. Thompson's security forces engaged the final wave of Drachnid pods as they breached the last maintenance shaft. Phase-shift projectors extended from armored hulls, targeting their crystalline barriers. Ancient defense systems activated automatically, generating overlapping energy fields that trapped enemy weapons in destructive feedback loops. Gordon coordinated with Nash as they established power flow through the planetary crystal network. Their screens displayed stable energy patterns forming between activated facilities despite increasing structural stress. The chamber's hybrid systems processed the massive power influx while maintaining critical containment protocols. Radiation alarms blared as the solar storm's leading edge reached their position. Specialized crystal formations extended automatically, absorbing deadly emissions and converting them into usable power. The chamber's automated systems adjusted constantly, maintaining stable field harmonics while processing the transformed energy. Containment field holding, Hughes confirmed, monitoring conversion rates. Storm radiation strengthening our power matrix. Morrison's resonance stabilizers pulsed at increasing frequencies as they synchronized human and Suliban technologies. The chamber's crystalline core responded instantly, its structure evolving to accommodate the enhanced energy flow while maintaining stable containment around Lita's transformation field. Matrix convergence reaching optimal levels, Morrison reported, adjusting quantum interfaces. Chamber systems are fully integrated. The transformed facility continued evolving as ancient machinery merged with modern equipment. Power flowed through crystalline veins while automated defenses neutralized enemy attacks. The team worked to complete their integration, managing multiple system interfaces as the facility's collapse accelerated toward their position. Thunder crashed through the chamber as the storm's intensity increased. Crystal barriers flared under concentrated radiation, while defensive arrays targeted approaching drachnid vessels. Through precisely calibrated containment fields, they watched their hybrid systems process the massive energy influx, preparing for the next phase of activation as the ancient chamber's power continued to grow. The transport lift doors slid open with a metallic screech, revealing Dr. James Grid Morrison. His quantum analysis displays cast prismatic patterns across the chamber walls as he stepped onto the transformed floor specialized scanning equipment detecting complex energy signatures throughout the crystalline matrix. The power grid, he announced, connecting his equipment to a nearby crystal formation. It's forming a triply helix energy pattern. The frequency matches both Lita's field and human bioelectric signatures perfectly. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber as Frank Callahan emerged from the lowest mining shaft, modified geothermal taps secured to his equipment harness. His sensors immediately detected massive energy flows surging through the planetary crystal network. Power readings off the scale, Callahan called out, deploying his taps into exposed crystal veins. The planet's core is channeling energy directly to our position. Thompson reached a secondary control interface, ancient symbols illuminating under his touch. The chamber walls shifted as dormant systems activated, revealing previously hidden Suliban defense platforms. Crystalline barrier generators extended from recessed compartments, creating overlapping protective fields that deflected both enemy weapons and solar radiation. Hansen's deep radar displays painted a dramatic picture of the chamber's evolution. Crystalline roots extending into the planetary crust, he reported, tracking the growth patterns. The chamber's anchoring itself independently. We're getting stable geothermal power feeds through the new connections. Rodriguez arrived through a partially crystallized corridor, prototype shielding panels balanced against his shoulder. The crystal metal composite materials radiated a soft blue glow as they absorbed excess energy from the chamber's increasingly powerful systems. Hybrid shielding online, Rodriguez confirmed, installing the panels around critical equipment junctions. Protection fields stable under current power loads. The chamber's automated defense systems hummed to life as crystalline drones materialized from specialized fabrication nodes. Johnson directed the autonomous units against approaching drachnid pods, watching as the ancient security measures efficiently neutralized the enemy threats. "Defense screen holding," Johnson reported. "Drones are channeling captured energy back into our containment field." Phillips burst through an emergency access point. Orbital calculation displays showing accelerated structural damage patterns. "New collapse estimates," he warned. 90 seconds until total facility failure reaches our position." Matthews accessed a primary power distribution node, his screens displaying harmonics data between Earth and Suliban systems. Energy flowed seamlessly between technological generations as the hybrid interfaces stabilized. "Power compatibility achieved," Matthews announced, implementing full-spectrum integration protocols. Radiation alarms screamed as the solar storm arrived ahead of schedule. The chamber's crystal matrix responded instantly, specialized arrays extending to intercept and transform the deadly emissions. Power levels surged through their systems as converted energy flooded the network. "Conversion arrays at maximum capacity," Morrison called out, adjusting quantum stabilizers. "Field harmonics holding under increased load." The chamber shuddered as another section of the facility above collapsed. Crystal formations automatically strengthened around vital systems while the team worked to complete their integration. Through precisely calibrated containment fields, they watched their hybrid technology process the massive influx of power, ancient and modern systems working in perfect synchronization as the chamber's transformation continued. A high-pitched whine cut through the chamber as Robert "Rob" Winters burst through the quantum computing core access port. Crystalline dust cascaded from his modified sensor array as he connected directly into the nearest power junction. "Triplematrix configuration forming," Winters announced, quantum displays flooding with intricate resonance data. The chambers achieving perfect harmonic balance between all energy states. His sensors pulsed in precise sequences, mapping complex crystalline patterns throughout the transformed space. Thompson shifted to accommodate Winters at the control hub, watching as the quantum analyst's fingers danced across specialized calibration interfaces. Thomas Reed emerged from the engineering sector's lowest access point, modified power routing matrices humming against his equipment harness. Crystal formations near his position evolved instantly, forming specialized conduits that merged seamlessly with his equipment. "Auto-balancing power distribution detected," Reed called out, connecting his systems. The chambers creating dedicated channels for containment, defense, and transformation processes. The walls pulsed with increasing intensity as Johnson's security teams activated the final Suliban weapon emplacements. Energy barriers materialized in overlapping patterns, deflecting scattered radiation while channeling converted power back through their stabilized grid. Crystal formations responded automatically, strengthening vulnerable sections as enemy weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against the reinforced field. Hansen's deep radar screens painted an expanding web of crystalline connections reaching through the planetary crust. "Root network fully integrated with surface deposits," he reported, tracking massive power signatures. "We're getting stable feeds from crystal formations across the entire hemisphere." The chamber shuddered as Mark Davidson slid through the maintenance shaft's partially crystallized opening. His prototype fusion cores cast prismatic patterns across transformed surfaces, while specialized interface points formed automatically around his equipment. "Quantum crystal integration online," Davidson announced, connecting his cores into the power grid, maintaining stable interface between human and Suliban systems. Matthews' displays flooded with new energy signatures as conversion nodes materialized throughout the chamber. The ancient machinery adjusted automatically, matching human technological frequencies while maintaining precise control over Suliban transformation patterns. Perfect compatibility achieved, Matthews reported, implementing updated integration protocols. Chamber systems responding to direct control inputs. Martinez's orbital tracking equipment painted a stark picture of their deteriorating situation. Structural collapse accelerating, he warned, checking automated calculations. 4 to 5 seconds until failure reaches our position. The chamber walls pulsed with increasing intensity as Thompson's diagnostic equipment detected specialized containment frequencies forming around Lita's transformation field. Ancient symbols illuminated across crystalline surfaces, matching patterns found in recovered Suliban artifacts. Purpose-built containment protocols activating, Thompson announced, monitoring field harmonics. The chambers designed specifically for energy-based transitions. Gordon's instruments registered massive power spikes as focusing arrays emerged from crystalline walls. The ancient equipment aligned automatically, preparing to channel the approaching storm's peak radiation through precisely calibrated field harmonics. Final activation sequence initiated, Gordon reported, tracking energy patterns. Arrays positioning for optimal power conversion. Crystal formations strengthened around vital systems as the team worked to complete their integration. Through newly formed barriers, they watched their hybrid technology process the massive influx of power while the ancient chamber's transformation continued. The facility's structural collapse accelerated toward their position as solar radiation levels increased, driving their systems toward maximum capacity. Specialized containment fields pulsed with increasing intensity as the chamber prepared for the approaching storm's peak. Ancient machinery working in perfect synchronization with modern equipment while time counted down to zero. Dr. Marcus Matrix Anderson burst through the quantum research vault's entrance, crystal resonance stabilizers clutched against his chest. The specialized equipment cast iridescent patterns across his face as he rushed to the nearest power junction. Perfect crystalline matrix forming, Anderson called out, connecting his stabilizers into the chamber's network. The structures reconfiguring to channel peak solar output. His displays illuminated with complex resonance data as the chamber's systems responded to his equipment. Crystal formations evolved around the stabilizers, creating specialized interface points that merged ancient and modern technologies. Hansen's deep-core sensors flashed with new detection patterns. Planetary network expanding, he reported, tracking massive energy signatures through the crust. The chambers becoming a focal point for a planet-wide collection array. Crystalline veins pulsed with increasing intensity as power flowed through the expanding network. The ancient architecture adjusted automatically, forming new conduits that channeled energy directly from surface deposits across the hemisphere. Thompson reached the primary control hub, his fingers dancing across illuminated symbols. The chamber shuddered as activation sequences triggered throughout the crystalline structure. Transformation matrix online, he announced. Converting radiation to stable power feeds. Energy conversion nodes materialized along the chamber walls, their crystalline surfaces refracting converted solar radiation into precise frequencies. The nodes pulsed in perfect synchronization with Lita's energy signature, maintaining stable power flow through the hybrid systems. The final access shaft's doors parted with a crystalline chime as Paul's circuit, Reynolds emerged. His prototype quantum crystal interface modules hummed with contained power as he connected them to exposed junction points. Interface stability achieved, Reynolds reported, monitoring energy flow patterns, maintaining connection between modern and Suliban systems. The chamber's defenses flared as modified drachnid weapons impacted their position. Phase-shift penetrators dissolved against multi-layered energy barriers, while Johnson directed automated countermeasures. Defense grid evolving, Johnson announced from his security station, converting enemy weapons' energy into additional power. Crystal formations strengthened around their equipment as thunderous crashes echoed from above. Hayes activated emergency protocols through his remaining support systems, watching as the chamber's structure separated from the failing facility. Independent containment established, Hayes confirmed, tracking structural integrity. Crystal network anchoring directly to bedrock. Matthew's power management displays showed perfect synchronization across all systems. Human technology merged seamlessly with Suliban architecture as the hybrid network processed massive energy flows with unprecedented efficiency. Full spectrum integration complete, Matthews reported, implementing precise control protocols. Power management at optimal levels. The solar storm's radiation front slammed into their position with devastating intensity. Specialized conversion arrays extended automatically from crystalline surfaces, transforming lethal emissions into stable power signatures that strengthened their containment field. Gordon's calculations flashed across his screens as the chamber achieved operational independence. Stability confirmed, he announced, monitoring power curves. We're maintaining full functionality without surface support. Lita's energy form pulsed in perfect resonance with the ancient systems as the activation sequence completed its final phase. The chamber's crystalline matrix responded instantly, creating a stable power cycle that drew strength from both planetary and solar sources. The transformed facility hummed with contained power as the team worked at their stations. Through newly formed barrier fields, they monitored the hybrid system's performance while maintaining their defensive position. Crystal formations continued evolving around their equipment, strengthening vital connections as the chamber prepared for the transformation's next critical phase. Final power calibration sequence engaging, Gordon announced, his fingers moving across the crystalline control surfaces. Energy readouts peaked as the chamber's ancient systems achieved perfect synchronization. The crystalline matrix surrounding Lita's energy form pulsed with intensifying blue-white light. Each wave matched the resonance patterns displayed across Thompson's diagnostic screens, human and Suliban frequencies aligning with unprecedented precision. Transformation threshold achieved, Thompson called out, monitoring the critical readings. Matrix stability holding at optimal levels. Multiple impacts rattled the chamber's outer barriers as the Drachnid containment vessel launched its desperate final assault. Mining pods slammed into their defenses in rapid succession, each explosion illuminating Johnson's tactical displays. Enemy pods on suicide trajectory, Johnson reported, then paused as his screens filled with unexpected data. Wait, the defense grid isn't just stopping them, it's capturing their energy signatures. Brilliant streams of converted power flowed through the crystalline walls, feeding directly into Lita's transformation field. Each impact strengthened the process instead of threatening it. Nash's seismic monitoring equipment lit up with planetara-scale activity. Crystal network reaching full activation, he announced, tracking massive energy signatures through the crust. Power loop forming between core samples and surface deposits. Towering pillars of light erupted from crystal formations across the hemisphere, visible on Martinez's orbital feeds. The energy streams converged above their chamber in a spectacular display that outshone the solar storm's radiation front. Power levels exceeding all projections, Matthews reported, studying the chamber's real-time readings. The transformation is evolving beyond our original parameters. The hybrid energy field surrounding Lita expanded, its patterns shifting to incorporate complex bioelectric frequencies. Her form began to solidify, crystalline structures forming in precise humanoid patterns that pulsed with internal light. Thompson adjusted his sensors to track the unprecedented changes. Detecting stable fusion between human and Suliban energy states, he confirmed. Complete molecular integration at quantum level. Lita's new form stabilized into living crystal, each facet refracting the chamber's blue-white illumination. Her eyes opened, radiating the same energy that flowed through the surrounding matrix. "Thank you, my friends." Her voice resonated through their communication systems, carrying both familiar warmth and alien harmonics. The transformation is complete. She raised one crystalline hand, generating an energy field that encased their entire facility. The remaining drachnid forces scattered as her shield expanded through the planetary network, creating a protective barrier visible from orbit. "Chamber defenses enhanced," Johnson announced, tracking the retreating enemy signatures. "All hostile units withdrawing from effective range." Thompson ran a comprehensive systems analysis, confirming the successful fusion of technologies. "Full interface compatibility achieved," he reported. "Chamber responding to direct neural control through the crystal matrix." The solar storm's peak radiation washed over their position as the facility's upper levels finished collapsing. Lita's presence stabilized the power flow, each new wave strengthening their systems instead of straining them. "Converting radiation to usable energy at 100% efficiency," Matthews confirmed, monitoring the power curves. "Perfect stabilization across all frequencies." Lita moved toward the central control hub, her crystalline form flowing with liquid grace. "Let me show you how to properly operate these systems," she said, accessing the ancient interfaces. "There's so much more to learn about what we can achieve together." Energy patterns shifted across the chamber walls as she demonstrated the advanced capabilities of their hybrid technology. The team gathered around her position, watching as she manipulated power flows with intuitive precision. "The chamber's transformation is permanent," Lita explained, generating holographic displays of the planetary network. "It will serve as both research facility and power distribution hub." Nash's seismic sensors tracked the expanding crystal formations below their position. "Underground structure completely stabilized," he confirmed. "We're anchored directly into the planet's energy grid." "This is not an ending, but a beginning," Lita's voice carried through their systems as she initiated new power cycles. "Together, our species will achieve things neither could accomplish alone." The chamber's walls pulsed with soft blue light as she continued teaching them the intricacies of Suliban energy manipulation. Through their protective barriers, the solar storm's radiation strengthened their position with each passing moment, while the hybrid systems maintained perfect equilibrium.